Yo, yo, yo. Wagwan people. Wagwan. Big up yourselves. For those of you that celebrate it, happy Easter. For those of you that don't, happy Sunday. Get me? Just another day. You get me? But yeah, big up. Big up man like Hassan in the place. You get me? Big up Gurdeep. Get me? Yeah. Yeah, I mean. We just out here. Get me? Been a busy week and all that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, we're here. Sunday, a little bit later, you get me? A little evening sesh and all that. Keep it moving. So while go on, peeps, got a little bit a few things to talk about. Obviously, you're seeing this vaccine passport thing going on for the last 3-4 days. They be talking about it. Obviously, been articles in the newspaper about it, should I say? I haven't really been hearing the conversations about it. But yeah, what's the man them and the woman them saying? What you saying? Are you flipping? Are you getting your vax, people? Are you getting your vax? Like, if you have to, you get me. Obviously, there's people that are gonna be vaccinated anyway. They've chosen. They said they'll be vaccinated anyway. But yeah, what's the man them and the woman them saying? You get me? Yeah, car boy. Right now, get me. So I'm just getting all messages. Get me? But yeah, flipping out, people. What are you saying about the vaccine? Are you not looking to take the vaccine if it means you can do certain things for those of you that ain't? You get me? Get me? Yeah, man. Don't watch nothing, Hassan, man. Come on. Yeah. The other thing, yeah, obviously there's a report into institutional racism, yeah, that came out. I know a few people were interested in talking about it, yeah, the other day. Um, you get me? And yeah, we're talking about the backlash it's received from certain people in the community and even amongst politicians. There's been some backlash about the report. So obviously I want to look into it and see what kind of backlash it's getting, what people are saying. Yeah, and get the gist of it. Do you feel what I'm saying? But yeah, we'll talk about that as well. So yeah, all welcome to be come in and jump on that one. Get me? I got a little not surprise story, but it's a nice one. You get me for later on. A little nice one where you can even look at people and be like, right, why did you do that? But in the end, it turned out good. You get me? So yeah, that's how it goes. You get me? But yeah, and obviously I've been going through the news all week, you get me? So we're talking about some things on the news, like them extending the COVID measures. So the COVID legislation and the COVID laws will be extended for another 6 months. Do you get what I'm saying? And that was voted for in the House last week. You get me? So I say you man, I gotta be up to date with what I want. Because obviously it was quite a narrow one, to be fair. So I think it was 452 or something like that to 408, something like that. So it weren't that. Yeah, and obviously there's been people in the government's the side of the government now that have been kind of like against the government stance as well. So that's going to be interesting how that plays out because obviously Boris likes to get rid of those that rebel. So it'd be interesting to see how that plays out. You get me? But yeah, that's that one. What was the other one? Oh, there was another one. Oh, some flipping woman, teacher. She groomed some young boy. Yeah, she escaped jail. She escaped prison and all that. You get me? Some mad thing. And then also some woman that was having an affair with a murderer or something like that in one prison. Swellside. She escaped jail as well. You get me? Um, so yeah, a couple little interesting bits going on. Get me? Obviously, I know some people might want to talk about the big trial that's going on. I'm not gonna lie, it reminds me of the OJ thing. Obviously, it's just a different way around. You get me? But it does. It reminds me of the OJ thing. Deep, you get me? But yeah, it's a mad thing. Get me? Okay, boy. You know what? I don't know. Yeah, Hassan. We'll see, man. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. But man, have to carry themselves in a good way. You get me? Yeah, certain things that man are behaving with. I don't really kick it like that. You get me? So yeah. is what it is. But man can't be seen to kind of co-sign things too much. Get me? Not so much seen, but I don't co-sign certain behaviors in it, and I won't just turn a blind eye to it because for the sake of whatever. Just get me? But yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see. I ain't even checked it out, to be fair, Hassan. So yeah, I don't know what's really going on over there, to be fair. You get me? But yeah, that's how it goes, man. But yeah, man, like there's mad things going on, people. Like you lot gotta keep your eyes open, man. Like legislation coming in. Obviously, there's this talk about flipping this passport thing, yeah. And obviously they're talking about it not being applicable to pubs yet. Do you get me? Get what I'm saying? And certain things like that. So obviously they know what their aim is to do with it. You get me? But yeah, it looked like boy, they're gonna tell you, boy, if you ain't got a vaccine or something like that, then you're not gonna be able to go through. You get me? And then, like for me, if they say to me like, boom, you gotta provide a negative test, yeah, I'd be all good with that. You get me? The day before and all that, I'd be cool with that. You get me? But all this fucking, excuse my French, all this stupidness about you gotta have passport for vaccine and that. Like, what do you say to the people that were told and said to them, oh, if you're in this category, you shouldn't take the vaccine then, or you shouldn't try the vaccine? What do you say to them people then? Do you just do you just literally just strip them of their rights? Do you know what I'm saying? Because of that. That's a mad thing. You get me? That's a mad thing. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out and how they're looking at how people are gonna either resist or comply. You get me? Because that's what it's gonna be, and people are gonna resist or comply. That's it. Get me? Nobody ain't gonna be sitting there like, oh yeah, you know, I don't know. There's no sitting on the fence on this one, innit? It's resist or comply. That's it. Are you gonna take the vaccine to get certain rights afforded to you, or are you not gonna take it and just roll with it? You get me? Live day to day, whatever. You get what I'm saying? Because you gotta think of the possibilities that might occur if this comes into play, where people are being told, look, you gotta have a vaccine passport to do this. It's a madness. You get me? Yo, big up David from Texas. You get me? Big up Texas. You get me? And the Texans out here. Big up man like Tarquin. You get me? Big up yourself, G. How you mean? Get me? Big up the G Block family. You get me? Big up the chat family. You get me? But yeah, it's one of them ones there. Like, who's gonna sit back and be like, yeah, do you know what? This ain't right. Do you know what? Someone's gonna. I mean, when that comes in, that's gonna be a different type of fucking, excuse my French again, different type of protesting. I think that'll be another protest coming in. And in that sense, it'll be interesting to see the numbers in my life. For me, it'll be interesting to see the numbers who will join a protest in that sense. Do you get me? And that's why I see what's coming. They start bringing in this kind of like control where you gotta have this and this to do stuff. People are gonna naturally, there's gonna be a group that resist, and I think you might get more and more people resist as time goes on. Do you get what I'm saying? But yeah, it'd be interesting, man. Interesting. But keep your eyes open, people. Like I said last week, man. Like, keep listening to what these people have got planned for you by tuning into their debates and stuff and their little motions that they put through. Because when they put them through, yeah, I'm telling you, you're sleeping, yeah, and you don't know what gone. Cool, it's gonna hit you like a fucking brick, mate. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Yeah, keep your eyes peeled. You get me? Get your eyes on the prize. Know what's going on. You get me? You hear it getting planned. They made the plans are there. They're being made. You get me? But we just gotta pay attention. And obviously, if you work full time, so on and so forth is difficult. But where you can, try and get your catch up. You get me? Try and get your catch up. Because it also gives you something else to talk about as well. Instead of flipping coming on these things and just beefing, you get me? Just constant biff. Get me? Mad thing, man. You see what I'm saying? When they're coming on here, just straight beefing. For what? And there's things going on, man. They're making legislation to control you. And you're flipping beefing. Mad thing. Fix up, look sharp. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. So what you lot saying about the George Floyd trial? You'll have to bear with me, man. I got this flipping cough, man. No, it's not COVID either. But yeah, Yo, big up, King. Big up yourself, brother. Jump on when you're ready, G. Get me. But yeah, what was I saying? One of them days, people. Trust me, one of them days. But yeah, I'm gonna sneeze as well, yeah, so I can feel it coming. 1 second. Whoa, that was emotional. You know what I'm saying? One of them big sneezes there. You get me? You have to mute out the thing. Come on, King, man. That's how it is, man. Each to their own. You get me? You could try. You can be a panel person. Everyone's everyone's opinion still important and valid. You get me? We can either rubbish them, add them to the good category. You get me? Whatever we do with them, you get me? But they're all ideas, and that's the whole point. Like having conversations. You get me? 10 minds will bring more ideas than one. You get what I'm saying? But that's how it goes, man. Thank you, Hassan, man. Come on. Big up yourself. But yeah, man. It's mad out here. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, yeah. The George Floyd trial, guys. Have you any of you lot been keeping an eye on it? Can any of you lot give me an update as to what's kind of occurring? I watched a few days of it. I say a few days. I watched a few hours. I'd say. You get me? But yeah. For me, it's kind of it's cut and dry in it. Like there's training, and you go beyond your training, or you go beyond something. That's it, man. It is what it is. You get me? Like I don't even want to hear no foolishness from people about the past and he was this and he was that. It don't fucking matter. You get me? Like you go against procedure in it. Like you go against procedure, even if you look at procedure. Get me? But what I won't like, obviously, there's more information to come out about people knowing each other and that. So the motives behind it become more cloudy. You get me? We can't put it down to one specific category. But what we can say that was a outright murder. Get me? And I ain't trying to hear nothing else about it. You get me? Okay. You see. Okay. So how's it over there, David? What's the sentiment like there in somewhere like Texas as well? What's the sentiment like over there with the people? How are the people reacting? Can you see the big racial divide, or is there a clear, what should I say, liberal, say faction, something like that? You get me? The word I'm looking for, like a clear middle ground. So you've got the people that are like, all right, obviously you're gonna get a lot of black people over there, like, no, this guy's guilty, this guilty. You're gonna get white people that are gonna support it. But have you noticed a big shift in like how many, for example, European descendant people are on the side of the black people saying, "Ah, look, this is guilty, this is guilty." Like what some of the FNATs and so on and so forth people might call the liberals. Do you get me? Are you noticing that over there in somewhere like Texas? Quite interesting because obviously we're not over there, so I don't know in it. It'd be interesting to see how yeah how it looks. Get me? What are you saying, Dre? How what makes you say that? What makes you say that you think they might be getting away with it? Like who do you think, him himself or the others or all three or four, was it? However many it was. What makes you say that? Do you think there's like what's come out to make you say that, should I say, for example? Get me? It's interesting, man. It's interesting. You get to see the mindsets of people as well when you hear like, especially on social media, the rhetoric that goes behind it. Do you get what I'm saying? Like from certain people, the opposition and the pro. Do you get what I'm saying? Like it's mad. It's mad. It's mental. But yeah, that's another thing. You get me? That's another thing. But yeah, if you don't know, give me your predictions. What do you think is gonna happen? And like, if you want to put down what you think is gonna happen and what you would say happen, or how you would, what verdict you would give based on what you've seen so far. Yeah, and don't worry if you haven't been watching the trial. You're still entitled to have an opinion on it based on what you saw on footage. If you've watched the footage, you get what I'm saying. But yeah, What do you mean, Hassan? Institutional sugarcoating. Okay, so David, you think it's questionable on cause of death. So do you not? Are you not on the stance of whether or not, like, because we can't say. In fact, we can say, um, and usually, obviously, they can tell us how long he's had certain issues going on, yeah, to be able to say, okay, this was, he would have had a massive heart attack at such and such time or whatever, yeah. They'll be able to see that kind of stuff. So as far as I'm concerned, yeah, unless they've categorically come out and said, look, this man was a walking fucking, um, you know what I'm saying? He was accident waiting to happen in that sense, yeah, in terms of his health and that, yeah, and any kind of drug use could have tipped him over the edge, yeah, that kind of stuff. Where's the history of him being hospitalized and all the rest of it because of drug use and all the rest? Do you know what I mean? Like, if there's all of that there, and then them saying, okay, cool, there's a history of him. Did he have a heart attack before or something like that? Something like that. Something happened to him health wise, yeah. But like I'm saying, did they not? Yeah, I think they. I think that the $20 was fake. I think yes. Big up, Lou. Big up yourself. I think the 20. I think the money was fake. But I think what people are saying, and again, the other people, a lot of things about it is people saying, why didn't they just write him a ticket and send him on his way? Do you get what I'm saying? And that kind of thing. And I think in that sense, you do think, well, there's all these other options open. How did it end up getting to there, innit? Do you get what I'm saying? So you question motives now, innit? And obviously with the case like how it is, if they can't put out clear motives by the fact that he's just a bad cop and he's got history for being a twat as a cop, they probably won't be able to get a first degree on him. You get what I'm saying? Because they can't ascertain clear motive. Do you know what I'm saying? No matter what, because obviously the the news and the information about him, them knowing each other or working at the same premises, isn't very. It's not like, do you know what I'm saying, totally concrete. So nobody knows what the motive is. Do you know what I'm saying? But we can't. I don't think it's fair to speculate. So I think we just got to take it as the merits of the case, and what probably is more likely to be um, able to be convicted, secure a conviction. And I don't think it would be first degree murder. If anything, it would be more something that's tantamount to manslaughter or something like that, based on the facts or from what they've seen and stuff like that. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. So, David, what you think the courts? Obviously, you're in America, innit? So you believe the courts are biased. I don't say think, you believe the courts are biased. Um, is that what you think about jury selection? And obviously, you saw that be a major factor in even the O.J. Simpson trial back in the day. How race, and they did use it. They literally used the whole story as a race baiting. It was when you watch it back and watch the series they made on it, you see how much race was a factor in the trial. Do you know what I'm saying? And today, it seems like it's the same thing, but for me, I don't know, man. Obviously, it's off the back of other events that have gone on. Obviously, so as black people, we pissed off in it because we're seeing injustice against black women and black men and young black children and stuff like that. And we're like, yo, what the fuck? Do you know what I'm saying? And that's natural. You feel what I'm saying? So this George Floyd thing is like the camel that brought the straws back again. I mean, the straw that brought the camels back. Sorry, I got that one mad. But yeah, so I think in that sense that's a mad thing. And then obviously you got all these liberals and stuff like that that I got these agendas coming and jump on the bandwagon, which doesn't it doesn't necessarily bring empathy from people. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. Do you know what I thought about that, David? You know, how can you not get a biased jury? Where are you gonna get people from that don't know about this case, that ain't gonna have a view on it already, that won't know about its history, that won't know, for example, someone that votes Democratic, yeah, they may have heard Candace Owens talk about him and how she talked about him and agree wholeheartedly with her. Do you know what I'm saying? So how are you gonna create a biased jury? I mean, unbiased jury. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there was protests all over the world. You get me? Like, it's mad. It's mad. It'll be interesting to see what happens, though. Interesting, because it seems like even like his boss is like literally just like, yeah, literally hung him out to dry. It seems. Do you get me? And that's surprising to me. Not surprising. It isn't. It isn't. You get me? Because obviously there's an agenda at play, and obviously he's bought into that agenda. Yeah, so he's gonna come in there and hang this guy to dry because he's got to be sacrificed to implement this agenda. Get me? You're not seeing the play now. You're not seeing the play now. Get me? Sacrifice to implement the agenda. You see me? Yo, big up yourself, Betty. Come on. How you mean? Get me? Happy Easter if you celebrate the thing. If you don't, happy Sunday. And if you're not in the Sunday thing, good day to y'all. You get me? Keep it like that. But yeah, Betty, jump on when you're ready, man. Come on. Yeah, it's a mad thing, man. It's a mad thing. Like, thinking about it. There's more at play than what actually happened. You get me? And the actual murder's been weaponized by many people from and many parts of either the murder or the character of the person that was murdered. Do you get me? Is being weaponized. And people are using it for their arguments. You know what I'm saying? For or against. And to be fair, most people that are for are just saying, look, this man killed him, man. Like, literally. You know what I'm saying? But other people are just like, oh, look at his history, look at his past and that. Like, yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you. He's got shit past. Get me? I hear you, but again, what happened, innit? In broad daylight in front of people. You feel what I'm saying? I see people like trying to go at the off-duty emergency worker and all that, like, she this and that. It's like, what the fuck you talking about, man? Like, you don't understand she's got a duty and she's been held back from doing her duty. Do you know what I'm saying? That's a mad thing, man. Some people are ignorant, trust me. Mad. You got me? But yeah, that's how it goes, man. That's how it goes. Looking at that. But what I'm gonna say now, yeah, I'm gonna jump onto this thing. The 6 months legislation, yeah. So I'm gonna let me just get the article for you up here and I'll read it out for you, yeah. Again, like I said, it's one of them ones that you people got to keep our eye on. You get me? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, David, that's what I'm saying, man. Like, a lot of people will rubbish and be like, it's a conspiracy theory. But just look at the factions that have jumped on it. Do you get me? To push something. You get me? As with the murder of Sarah Everard, as with, do you get me? The COVID regulations, like there's all these agendas, yeah, or all these things going on that are being hijacked. You get me? And it's like, there's a word that people use, yeah, all the time, like certain people that I hear talk here, and it's like, I'm not gonna use the word, you get me, because I don't want these people to know that I'm onto them yet. But when the time comes, I'm gonna blow them out of the water. You get me? Show you look that they're absolute dickheads. You feel me? They know I'm onto them as well. You get me? But they try and box clever around, man. You get me? But yeah. Yeah, Louise, come on, man. Like, still kneeling, like lifeless body and all that. Like, he's handcuffed as well. Like, they're trained to get off that position once he's handcuffed. Like, you got a man on his back, on his stomach. Sorry, you're on his back. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, well, what point do you decide that? Okay, cool. Like, he's subdued. Like, minimal force. Like, he's subdued now. There's no need for me to be pinning him down. Do you get me? His hands are behind his back. Do you get me? He's no longer a threat. You get me? Or was he even a threat in the first fucking place? Do you get me? At no point did you even sit down there and understand that a man's been shot before. You get me? And that you pulling a gun could potentially make a man fucking act erratic. Do you get me? And the fact is, think about levels of erratic that somebody could go to given that situation. And he was just like, yo, listen, I've been shot before. Do you get what I'm saying? Come on. Put yourself in that situation. You've been shot before. Think about how some people might run. Some people might go on a madness. Some people might start fighting. You get me? Come on, man. People told me, come on, man. Explain that shit to me. Someone explain that shit to me. Big up yourself, Stu. Come on. Big up yourself, Stu, every time, yeah? Come on, man. Come on, let me just switch on this little light, you get me? I'm in the little conservatory, yeah? It's where I go, you get me, when it's time to smoke some zubbies and that, you get me? And they use them. It's downstairs, so I just got at the back, you get me? So that's why sometimes you can hear me doing the laundry and that. You get what I'm saying? But yeah, keep it true. So anyway, yeah, back to the COVID thing, yeah? The vaccine, yeah, the laws, yeah? So the COVID laws. So it says main article, and it was in the Daily Express on Friday, yeah. And don't get it twisted, I don't buy the Daily Express. Like most of you don't know what I do, you get me? Yeah. Don't worry, Stu, man. We're gonna touch on it, man. It's an open panel. We're not sticking to one subject. You get me? We're back and forth. So we jump on it, bro. Obviously, people are probably gonna echo or chime in with something different to what I'm saying or what other people are saying, bro. So don't worry too much about that, bro. You get me? You're here. We're here for about 4 hours. You get me? And it's all good. You get me? Different people are gonna join the panel, have different things to say on it. So yeah. Boom. COVID laws, yeah. When will it end? COVID laws to last another 6 months. So the article says COVID laws will remain in place until the autumn after MPs backed a 6-month extension overwhelmingly, despite a Tory rebellion yesterday. The Commons voted by 484 to 76. Sorry, it wasn't a small majority; it was a massive majority. To 76 to keep powers in place until the end of September. And Health Secretary Matt Hancock would not rule out a further renewal. He claimed that the laws unprecedented in peacetime remain essential, but he promised that he would propose renewing the legislation once again, only if it was absolutely necessary. He told MPs they are exceptional powers for the most extreme of situations. The 6-month extension was approved even though the government roadmap envisages lockdown ending in June. Okay, and then on to the rebel MPs. So rebel Tory MP said that it was inappropriate to continue to give sweeping powers to ministers as the country appears to be past the worst of the pandemic. However, the move was passed easily with Labour's support. You see that Keir Starmer, yeah? Yes, big up yourself, Betty. I know he ain't listening, yeah? But Keir Starmer, if you ever do listen, yeah? Someone replay it back to him, innit? Tell him, hey, Keir, you need to do your job as opposition, bro.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
No, big up yourself. Yeah. You need to do your job as opposition, bro. You're not supposed to just follow suit. You're supposed to provide other options, bro. Better options than the ones that are there. You get me? Not instructing your people to just vote and follow Boris, man. You're like a little Boris clone. Get me? People get on my nerves, blood. Trust me. And this is why you have them right wing and F-known that talking about they want to. That's what. I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to get into politics and shake up politics. Yeah. But obviously they're not doing it in the right way for some people or a lot of people. You get me? So whether or not they'll become successful or not is another thing. But imagine now one of these flipping liberal people like Les Gormless and Corbyn and all that come into play. Yeah. Watch what happens. You get me? Watch what happens. But yeah, Betty, man, what you saying, man? What you got to say? Big up yourself.
Big up. Happy Easter and happy holidays to the people that don't celebrate.
Yeah, we'll do them thing. We just say good day.
Yes, a good day. In case of the Floyd George, after I watched that, I was very traumatized. And for me, I feel like I'm not going to watch another black man being killed on camera. So I've not watched the trial, and I probably won't watch it because I don't feel like it serves me. The very fact that that guy got bail, and it wasn't just him kneeling on his neck. There was one officer kneeling on his back and another officer kneeling on his legs. That is one of the reasons why he died. It wasn't just like that guy kneeling on his neck. And it's just a joke that they all got bail. And I just feel like it was I didn't like the fact that I noticed that it was all around the world, but I noticed that when police officers have killed somebody in the UK that's a black person or a mixed race person, it doesn't get all that coverage.
Yeah, I mean, America's racially fueled badly. You know what I mean? But America's so the tensions, racial tensions in America's. I don't know, man. I don't think they'll ever go away. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I hope it does. I really hope it does. But for me, it's just like I don't like the way. I like the fact that it brought people out on the street. It mobilized people, and all these companies were saying Black Lives Matter and stuff like that. But I felt like there was so much protesting. People actually think that that's the only thing that will change things, and you've got to do more than protest.
Mm.
You know what I mean, so.
Yeah, it's true, and that's the thing. But what do you do other than protest?
Well, there's civil disobedience, isn't it? I mean, you look at the civil rights that's happened. People have done civil disobedience, haven't they? You know, like for example, there was a boycotts of I know in the UK they had boycotts of the buses, weren't they? In Bristol, when the bus company wouldn't employ, black people, they boycotted that company. I know the same in the United States of America. When they were mistreating African Americans, they were boycotting the buses, and chauffeuring each other to work, economically boycotting stores that mistreat the black people and the black community. And you'd be amazed at what happens when black people start spending their money in these racist white establishments. You'd be amazed at how they start listening.
You know what's interesting? You're right. Yeah, like the power the financial power that we have, and the amount of money that we provide to an economy is unreal, right? And I don't think we understand the power of that. Do you know what I'm saying? Exactly. And that is the way to abstain from something will have more of an effect, especially now in today's climate. To abstain from something and providing something will have more of an effect than it has maybe in the past time. You get me? Yo, big up the man where you say Valley, big up Valley. Yo, I know you know jump on me panel, you know, dog. Yo, don't cheese me off, you know, brother. But big up yourself, you get me? G Block. Get me? And big up Sky and other PS2. Big up yourself. In the description. So when you go to the if you gotta close the live chat, I think. Close the live chat, yeah. Then when you scroll down, if you're on your phone, you gotta close the live chat and go to the description, and then at the bottom of it, it says click the link to join the panel. But if you want me to, I'll post it back up in there for you. Get me? I'll post it out there actually for you people. I'm a bit ignorant told you. Get me?
God, I noticed when that Black Lives Matter on the panels, and you notice that the racist grannies, when black people started talking about buy black, like the black the Black Pound Day that's every month. Yeah. I noticed that racist elements of the white community got really nervous about that. Like, what do you mean they only shop at black shops for the day? You know what I mean? That's racist. That's what made them nervous.
Yeah, it's true.
Do you know what I mean? So I feel like money talks.
It does, man. It does, definitely. And that's the thing about it. It's about using the power again in that sense to actually get your voices heard. You get me? Hold on one second.
Hi.
Big up.
Betty, I want to talk to you. Oh, happy Easter. Nothing came and got what Michael Jackson got. Yeah, that's why.
Let me just turn down my
I'm a real person. I'm real.
Yeah. How old are you, Sky?
I'm 24.
Okay. Are you sure about that?
Yep, I'm sure.
Okay,
I can't talk now because I've got relatives. Tell Wendy that I can't talk to her because I've got relatives. I'm at my nan's house and I've got relatives.
Okay, I'll tell her for you, all right?
Yeah, and I've got tell Jupiter that I can't talk to her because I've got relative at Nanny's house.
All right, Sky. Listen, we're gonna have to get on with it. Yeah. All right.
Yep.
All right. Have a good evening. All right.
Okay.
All right,
Bye, Betty.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, bye.
Yeah. Boom. Get me. Man, I feel, yeah. Man, I feel, yeah. Yeah, you get me. I don't know the thing, I don't want to talk too much about it. But yeah, big up yourself, Sky. Get me.
Yeah, big up, Hun.
Come on, man.
Big up Stu as well.
Yeah, man.
Louise and Dave and all the people in the chat. But also I noticed, like, when black people start talking about creating black schools and educating black children, I noticed that the racist elements of the white community start getting upset as well. So I think all these things that black people can do, like create their own schools, their own businesses, boycotting, you know, racist elements of the white community, making their voice heard, you'd be amazed at how they start changing. You know, if you start telling white people that I'm not going to shop in your shop, you know, if I don't see you doing anything against anti-black sentiment, then I don't need to give you any money. And you'd be amazed at how they start complaining.
See, for me, I don't want. So for me, I don't want to hold white businesses accountable for what changes I want to see. I want to hold the powers that be accountable for what changes I want to see, because ultimately they hold the power. Now, I think going through a middleman can sometimes lose the effect. And I think what we hear, especially on these streams, is these people say, "Oh, you're being told, and the media's pushing this, and the media's pushing that." Yeah, and ideally, I believe the reason why that is because it's not coming from a place of actual pain or hurt. It's just coming from people that are being told what's offensive and what's this and that. And whilst yes, it can help having outside people in your fight, they can't be front and center in your fight.
Of course, I think
that's what they may want to be. They can't be front and center in your fight, leading that fight, because you know it's not. You're not talking. You know, people are gonna say, "Well, how am I gonna have a white man's gonna say, well, why am I gonna have some white person teach me about white privilege?" Like, you're gonna use your, like, some people say, you can see people saying that you're using your white privilege to teach me about white privilege, or you're using your white privilege to protest in a way that maybe you believe they can't. But that's like, it don't make no sense.
For me, like, in terms of like white businesses, and realistically, many of these white businesses survive off black exploitation. For example, the coffee industry, the cocoa industry, they're exploiting, you know, black people in Africa and the children in order to flog coffee. Coffee is mostly sold in the West, in Europe, yeah, and the exploitation that's involved, you know, in the coffee industry in Africa is, you know, terrible. The same thing with the cocoa industry in Cote d'Ivoire, where children like 10 and 11 are kidnapped and trafficked to the next country in order to work on a cocoa farm. So, when, you know, you can't, these white businesses, like Starbucks and all these different white businesses, it's very difficult for many white businesses not to have supplies, you know, raw materials from Africa.
Because the largest coffee producing countries around the world are Brazil, Vietnam, Colombia, Indonesia, Honduras, Ethiopia, Peru, and India. And I did remember hearing a while back that they stopped a lot of the trade for coffee and things like that. They stopped trading with African and West Indian countries, and we're using other and going through other countries to get these items. I did hear that, you know, a while back. So yeah, obviously they're getting better deal. You get me, in countries with larger landmass, right? So they can produce more.
I think it's a question of also, because Ethiopian coffee is still sold in Europe, whether it's a reduction in it, but it's still sold. But going to the cocoa as well. If you look at the cocoa and just chocolate, the amount of chocolates that's consumed in Europe for little kids, and it's African kids that are getting exploited and not having education. They don't get paid. they just get trafficked. So
Yeah.
for me, this is why if black people start boycotting these multinational white organizations like Starbucks that are implicit in creating child
Yeah.
labor in Africa.
That's what I would say. I agree with you totally on that. The major companies, so like what Joy says, yeah, pick up yourself again, Joy, yeah. She puts in there like stop buying the things like the Gucci, the LV, and started supporting independent labels and brands, yeah, within your communities and stuff like that, yeah. You'll find that you put a huge dent in, well, not a huge dent in their pockets, but you put a huge dent into their profits for that year. Do you understand me? People will sit up and take notice. Why are we not selling as much? Do you get what I'm saying? Now we're gonna have to go out and research why we're not selling as much. Oh, because these people ain't buying it because they're angry. Do you get what I'm saying? So I believe what you're saying is right. We definitely need to put a hole in the pockets of the people that monopolize the markets. Do you get me? The Tesco's, the Sainsbury's, the Waitrose, all those kind of companies that monopolize the markets. Yeah, and also not just because of what they do for Africa, but think about this as a British person. If you're a British, English, white man, yeah, okay, think about it like this. Your local market stores for years have been going under, yeah, because of what? Them building Tesco here, Tesco there, Tesco Express. You get me? Sainsbury's local, this, that, yeah. Your local person, yeah, even you as English people, yeah, you're supposed to turn around and say, do you know what, I'm going to abstain from spending with these people because they're breaking up our communities. Our youngsters are sitting at home doing nothing because there's no market stalls no more. Who's out there teaching their kids to be market stall runners and stuff like that anymore? And they can't because it's been monopolized. All the wealth's been monopolized by big corporations. And we're still going to go out there and say, yeah, let's go Tesco's, let's go Tesco's. Oh, look at all these black people. Look at all these Muslims and that. Bro, look at your system fucking you over. Like, literally.
Yeah, definitely. It's, you know, when you start doing economic boycotts, you'd be amazed at how when people start getting nervous, like these multinational companies, when they monopolize, you know, industries and the market, you'd be amazed at how they get nervous. Because I do remember that when that Black Lives Matter happened, I remember Sainsbury's doing Black Lives Matter on their Twitter account and like obviously the Black Sainsbury's advert. So there were companies that were trying to make a difference. But I think, yeah, people have to be really conscious of what they buy. Like the phones couldn't work. These phones, these laptops that you got, they can't work without coltan
I know.
and lithium from the Congo. And that's mined by children, not just adults. So when I hear these you know, these FNATs, you know, these racists, or these people that are really, they don't really understand how tied they are to Africa.
Yeah, but you not think, yeah, the problem is that if this happens, yeah, because the companies that are in there mining, yeah, they're not owned by Africans for the most part, yeah.
No, they're not.
And so for you'd have to have some strong government that turns around and says, actually, we want you fuckers out of here right now. Yeah. If you want to do trade with us, you're not making a profit. Yeah. We are gonna fucking employ our people, pay them a good wage, and you're gonna pay us good money for our things. We are gonna see the wealth come back to you. Understand what I'm saying to you? But when that comes, what will happen is there'll be, I mean, for things like diamonds, it'll be difficult, right? Because there's things that are only in Africa. Yeah. But that is the point in where again you start to get back control because there are things that are only in certain regions, and those are the things that you make exclusive. Get me? You make exclusive. You can't get just free, willy-nilly. No, your company can't come and this and this and this and take over this and this. No, those days are done. Do you get what I'm saying? Like you have to trade with us fair because, like you're seeing on the thing, yeah, the biggest producing countries now are not in Africa of things like of coffee and that because they've gone and started dealing with other countries and help their infrastructures and using the same models that they used in Africa. In those countries, in Honduras and in Brazil and those places.
Yeah, probably because they're prepared to accept low wages.
That's what it is.
And exploit the people.
That's what it is.
Because when you look at the consumption of coffee in Africa, it's not that big. You know, Africans don't shed loads of coffee the way Europeans do.
That's what I'm saying. And in Asia, it's mostly tea, isn't it?
Yeah, they're into tea drinking. Coffee production in Africa is mainly for the outside. It's not for Africans. You know, there's certain ethnic groups in Africa that drink coffee, but it's definitely not a widespread thing that they drink compared to the consumption in Europe. But yeah, I think as consumers, you have a responsibility to demand better practices from the companies that you buy from. In turn, African governments have to demand better, safeguarding, for the people that mine, so you don't have children mining and they get safety gear and stuff. But it's a two-way street. It's not just one thing. Whether African governments demand better safeguarding, still as consumers, you still have a responsibility to demand to know where the products come from.
And they've done that more and more, but because of that, like I said, it's given people license, I guess, to say, okay, we need to go and look elsewhere because we're not prepared to deal with these people fair, so we'll go to somewhere else where it can be deemed fair, where we can look at what our money transfers to over there and still pay them minimal and pay. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Because you look at somewhere like Honduras, where the economy will be worse than Jamaica. Do you know what I'm saying? In the past. Yeah, so going and dealing with them will be a lot easier than somewhere like Jamaica, and like saying, actually, you know what, we're standing proud as a nation now. We want this for our stuff. Do you know what I'm saying? And yeah, that becomes an issue because they will go and look for where they can get it cheaper. And again, on mass, because you're looking at the land mass of certain countries in South America in comparison to somewhere like Jamaica and the small area or the small areas where they get coffee from, or do you know what I'm saying, other places like that. It's you know what I'm saying? There's no comparison. There's no comparison.
It's like the Ghanaian president, Nana. He's now told the Swiss that they're not going to be exporting cocoa to Switzerland. You know what I mean? So there's changes of in Africa where certain governments are saying, nah, we're getting fed up of this, being exploited. They want to start processing the cocoa and making their own chocolate. And this is what Africa needs. It needs to be industrialized. I know Nigeria, I think it's Nigeria, Egypt, and South Africa have a deal with Russia to create a nuclear plant in order to generate electricity.
So as you say that, you literally wicked you said that, because there's another article, that I was looking at, and let me get it. It's not that one. That's about the elephants. We're gonna touch that one again. The poor elephants. Get me? The poor elephants. But yeah, not the COVID laws. Oh yes, here it is. It says Britain joins a global bid to thwart China. Yeah.
No surprise.
So exactly. So Britain is to join a US initiative to spend hundreds of millions of pounds on infrastructure projects around the world to thwart China's political and economic dominance of developing nations. The move was disclosed by Prime Minister Boris Johnson as he met hero MPs and peers who were hit by sanctions by Beijing after they highlighted China's gross human rights violations. At an intimate Downing Street gathering yesterday, he offered them his full-throated support and said HMG stands completely behind you and everything that you are doing. China has already spent hundreds of billions of dollars on infrastructure projects in 138 countries as part of its so-called Belt and Road Initiative, established in 2013 by President Xi Jinping. It aims to increase the Chinese Communist Party's influence by connecting Asia with Africa and Europe through land and maritime networks. So, yeah, it looked like them are go war for Africa.
Yeah, I think they call it the new scramble for Africa.
Come on, the scrambling by infrastructure. So they want to build up infrastructure. You get me?
Well, that's what it needs, because Africa has such. That's why you had Acorn do that project to provide electric to several African countries, because many African countries don't have a stable electric supply, and they run on generators.
So,
And
so
you
what
can't.
are the implications behind this? Them doing behind them taking this stance. What are the implications do you think that may arise from them taking this stance and saying actually we're gonna challenge China for this for the monopolization of these areas?
You know what? It's probably going to be a lot. I know it's things like soft power, like the BBC now creating channels. Like, for example, they've got a Hausa channel, Amharic channel. I think they've
Yeah.
got, yeah, and they never used to have those channels.
Mm.
Yeah. So obviously, it's about the rise of China. So now they want to talk to African people in their native language so they can, talk about how great they are and how they're better
Mm.
than the Chinese, and talk about how bad the Chinese are and the Russians are, etc., etc. But Britain's had 200 years. Was it two? Like, when did they start enslaving Africans? Like 400 years ago, and colonization, maybe colonization, maybe about 100 years. Yeah. So this idea that also now they're going to help. Well, why didn't you help the 100 years of colonization that you had? Do you know what I mean? So for me, it's just they're just reacting. It's just so it's all bullshit. Just reacting
Yeah.
because Africans are running to China and Russia.
That's it, man. It's literally they see the potential, and it literally is just like, yo, listen, they're gonna take over this thing. We gotta get in there before they do, or we gotta get some of this. You get what I'm saying? We gotta get some of this now. And what's gonna happen is, in my opinion, and you're seeing it in certain places already, yeah, more and more different factions being supplied with weapons. You're gonna get factions fighting for democracy. You're gonna get factions fighting for this and for that. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And it's all gonna be a play to just break up so we can come in. So we can come in. We're gonna provide you with this. The British are gonna provide them with that. They're gonna be provided with that to go anti that and to go anti that and to campaign for that. It's the same old thing. Do you get what I'm saying? It's the same old thing. The same old thing. Like literally.
When you actually look at, when I was just looking at this article about Africa and Russia, so Africa and Russia had that summit in 2019, and majority of African heads of state went to Sochi in Russia, and it says in terms of what they're going to be built in Ethiopia, Nigeria, Zambia, then you've got Ghana, Uganda, Sudan, and the Demit, the
Congo.
Demit Congo, yeah. So this is what Africa needs. Do you know what I mean? Like, and if you look at what did they build? The French. What did they build? The French colonizers. Apparently, when they built something, they ripped it apart when they had to leave. You know what I mean? So I think it's important that Africa just makes deals with, not with their former colonizers.
I think the other part is when you're making, but I don't think it needs to make deals in that sense where it needs to be you're giving up so much of your, because with those infrastructure deals, you have to understand you're giving up land ownership, yeah, and rights to land to other people from other countries. Do you get what I'm saying? So whilst you're making deals, what they're dealing in is land, yeah, and that's the land of the people. Do you know what I'm saying? They're not dealing in produce, yeah, they're dealing in land. Do you know what I'm saying? So these people are saying, "Oh, we're going to build this, we're going to build this," but the deals are not going to be in the favor of the countries in Africa.
Well, only time will tell. Because Russia, I'm not going to rush. I'm not going to judge Russia and China on colonization, because Russia and China have never colonized Africa, and they've never enslaved Africans. I'm going to have a look. Only time will tell whether Russia and China have good intent, but electric power, nuclear power is very much needed. And this sort of, I'm here, reading in the article when they say, oh, Africa's get nuclear power, but the Europeans have got nuclear power. Just the hypocrisy of it. You're going to tell, you're going to tell Africans they can't have nuclear weapons, but you've got plenty. The hypocrisy of it, the way they feel like they're still our colonial masters. It's wrong. Africans should have the right to self-determination. And if you've been in a country like Nigeria, where before you can go days without electric, And you can't build jobs and factories if you don't have a stable electric supply. You can't even, like, when you've got children trying to study in school and at home and there's no light, you've got to be walking around with kerosene lamp and the strain on your eyes. So it's things like that, street lighting, when you haven't got a stable electric supply, the streets are not safe if there's not a constant light at night. So these are the type of things that Africans and African governments are looking at. But yes, definitely, like you said, Britain is very nervous, isn't it? Because now they're claiming that they're going to help. But have you seen what some of the aid that Britain has offered? I think it was like 200 million condoms part of British aid.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Stop the breeding.
Yeah, condoms, for goodness sake.
Stop the breeding.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like, and it's from their companies. They say they're gonna give you aid, and it's from their companies, and then they will say you're not allowed to go to anywhere else to go and buy these products. Like the French do the same thing. The French, they will say we're going to build something in Africa, but you can't. The first person that gets dibs on it is French companies. Do you know what I mean? You're not allowed to. We are the first ones that get first refusal. One of the agreements for the Francophone countries to get independence was that the language of instruction must always be French. The French should get first dibs on any projects, etc. And they must keep 50% of their foreign reserves in France. So it's all because that's how the Francophone countries in Africa did not fight for independence. Yeah. So they're still economically tied to France. So these like dirty dealings that go underneath the table. So, and when people talk about land and whether China's got land and Russia and Africa, the fact of the matter is, if you look at what France and Britain, the former colonizers, still have in Africa, you know what I mean? Their companies, like somewhere like South Africa, De Beers Diamond Company, De Beers, yeah, where they mine diamonds, is a London-based company.
Yeah.
It's you know what I mean? They haven't given up.
They haven't given up nothing. They're not gonna give up nothing.
The arable land is still owned by white South Africans in South Africa. Do you know what I mean? So it's those little things. So for those people, that's why when these white people come on and they start talking about the Chinese and the Russians or whatever, I'm like, just let's look at what Britain and France still own and the Dutch still own in Africa before you start preaching about other people. It's not, you know what I mean? It's an absolute joke. Even Zimbabwe, the amount of land that's still owned.
Yeah, there's a lot, and that's the thing about it. That's what I'm trying to say, and it's all the land that seems to be that covers. 1 second. Yeah, it seems to be the land that's got the most wealth surrounding it, the most land that's got all the minerals. Do you know what I'm saying? All the minerals.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's a madness, man. It's a madness. So yeah, something has to give, and that's what you get with people like that flipping McCarthy dude and all that. Oh, we want independent this, independent that, but we don't want our governments and the companies and corporations to give back the stuff, though. Do you get what I'm saying? We're happy to have a monopolization of the wealth, but we want you to be independent at the same time. So how you can't have them both ways. You get what I'm saying? It's either you give the things back, yeah, you let people be and own their shit and trade with them properly, or not, and they can trade with other people. Do you get what I'm saying? That are gonna use it. Because that's why the Chinese are monopolizing Africa, because of the tech.
Yeah, because they have,
and they're trying to find more cobalt. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to build infrastructure to find more cobalt. That's what the whole point. And they're going to try and if they do, they're going to monopolize that too.
Yeah, but
it will be a Chinese grab on the stuff that's made for technology. So once again, those land masses that the Chinese are developing will be owned by Chinese. So whatever's found on them will be Chinese property. That's what I fear. Do you know what I'm saying? Whether or not that actually occurs on, that's another thing. But I'm not privy to them deals. I don't have as much information as I probably should. But
I think
that's something that I fear.
I think I looked, but when I looked at the reports in terms of the development, I think 2/3, from what I remember, of the Chinese development in Africa is infrastructure. The rest of it is like minerals and etc. But like everybody has a right to worry about whether or not the Chinese will be like the English and the French, but Africa needs the Chinese as the Chinese needs Africa. You know, what is the alternative? Because you can't trust the former colonizers to build Africa because they had 100 years and we know what they did. You know, what is the alternative if you don't get the help of the Chinese?
See it there. So here what it says, yeah, Investopedia. China's amount of foreign and direct investment in Africa has grown rapidly over the last decade. China focuses many of its investment on Africa's abundance of raw materials needed for production of goods such as platinum, cobalt, manganese, and uranium. So obviously, it's again, like I said to you, is to be able to monopolize and get access to goods. It was never going to be let's just build up your infrastructure because we believe you should be living better and we just want to help you. Hell no.
But nobody. I don't think the Chinese have ever said that. The
Well,
Chinese,
not that they haven't said it, but what I'm saying is isn't having. So I wouldn't probably go as far. I'd go as far to say that number one, it won't be in the best interest of Africa or African countries or even developing African countries. It will always be in the interest of the Chinese companies, especially the tech companies that need those goods. Number one. And number two, any deal that is made with any government in Africa will be around providing and being around getting a good deal or what they class as a good deal for their raw materials. And I think that would be a major point for the Chinese in terms of providing infrastructure. So whilst Africa may need the infrastructure in rural areas and things like that, I would still maintain that it would be at the expense of what potentially Africa could get if they were trading independently without outside investment into these. Do you know what I'm saying?
when you say that Africa should like, so example, in this alternative reality of this thesis that you point forward, so Africa would trade with who? They're not going to trade with Chinese. What do you mean trade with each other?
So again, for example, the infrastructure, yeah, like I said, we know that, for example, cobalt can only be found in one place, one continent, yeah. So when you look at it like that, yeah, the demand for it is so high that literally you control the market, you control the whole market, yeah. So there is a demand for it. Now, you say you want to build infrastructure. Okay, cool. If you want to build infrastructure, that's fine. But here, it doesn't give you a monopoly on our goods. We can deal with you on our goods on a better level than others. But in terms of providing you and letting you have a monopoly on our goods to provide that infrastructure, hell no. And I believe there needs to be. I'm not saying they're not strong African leaders, but I believe they need to have stronger ones, more resolute, and say, well, actually, no, we're fed up of people in other countries monopolizing the wealth within our lands for themselves because they come under the guise of infrastructure.
But the problem with that is that Africa does not have the expertise in order to develop those minerals.
I know.
The education
You
is
ship the raw minerals, though. You ship the raw minerals. That's what it is. The Chinese don't take the minerals and do the work in Africa. They take it and they ship the raw minerals. So, and the expertise in finding the raw minerals is within where they may be able to provide, for example. So, for example, okay, if you can provide us with workers, or if you can provide training for our workers, yeah, again, we can trade with you on a level that will be beneficial to us both as nations, because we can't allow you to monopolize our wealth. What we can do is work with you for you to monopolize, for us to monopolize our wealth, yeah, and you to gain also from them, us monopolizing our wealth. That should be the priority, in my opinion. Not actually, yeah, come give us infrastructure, monopolize our wealth again, and Africa's still poor as fuck. Do you know what I'm saying?
But the problem with this is the thing, though. Infrastructure includes 24-hour electric. This is why Africa. I mean, gone to China. They don't have reliable electric like China does in terms of technical and training. Africa does not have that expertise. That is why it has to ship its raw materials out of Africa. That is why you got people like Acorn coming in trying to build the electric supply, because all this so-called, just refining things like oil, all these like making phones. If you don't have a proper electric supply and you want to work with candlelight, all the tools that you use to that run on electric.
But this is the thing, right? So this is the thing. So what I'm saying is, okay, cool. Build your infrastructure. Even build your plants that you build. But what we're going to request is what you do is, with the technical nature of this job, there's going to require a level of qualification with it. Okay, cool. Within our deal, bring in that qualification into our infrastructure, into our education system. So we build up more technicians, more engineers within our nation also, which benefits us in the long run. We can't just be seen to just be given things without giving anything back to the people of Africa, because it's the governments of Africa that provide that get the benefits of it, and not the people of Africa. That's the problem. This deal doesn't help the people of Africa. It's not going to change the little boys and girls having to go and dig for these things in dangerous conditions. It's not going to change the fact that they've got no PPE. It's not going to provide them with any of that, because it's still going on now with all the infrastructure they're allegedly building. So clearly it's not benefiting the people of Africa. So at some point, somewhere, someone has to take a stand and say, actually, no, you're not doing anything for Africa, but building for yourself and your technological fucking war with the other countries.
What I would say is China is clearly building stuff in Africa. You know what I mean? There's, and if, for example, in Nigeria, they built from Lagos, the train from Lagos, I think it's Lagos to Kanu, yeah, something, yeah. What did the British do? Did they build trains? And when they build the trains stop working and stuff like that. So they are all over Africa. The Chinese are building. Yeah, they build from the capital of Ethiopia to Djibouti. The next.
Why? Why? Go look at a map of Africa, yeah, and look at where they're building the trains from. Yeah, they are going to be routes to the coast for shipping, straight to ports. That's what they're going to be building roads from the central of Africa and trains from the central of Africa.
Give charity to Africa. Hey? This is a business deal. It's a business deal.
No,
China's not there to give charity to Africa.
No, I know it's not. Nobody wants charity. Yeah. But what I'm saying is that African leaders should fight, in my opinion, for a better deal. And if the Chinese don't want to do that, then you can say, well, okay, then cool. The Americans and the Japanese will surely want to deal with us.
No, come on.
They want to.
The Americans have enslaved Africans for 400 years. Why on earth would Africa want to make deals with America?
Money talks, bullshit works.
You could say Japan, but not America.
Maybe not America, but there's Japan. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? There's technological, there's wars on different fronts. There's technology wars.
That's true. Japan is, when you actually look at Japan, it is actually invested in Africa. But Japan is not the manufacturing house of the world. China.
No, it's not. China is, exactly. So again, so what I'm saying is, if you look at the rails that they bought, the rails are going directly to ports to remove raw material, to bring to Chinese factories to build, if they are building factories within Africa, to build these bits of equipment, I'm yet to know, I don't know, so I'm not going to say whether they are or not, I would be surprised, and if they do, I'd be even more surprised if the African leaders or the leaders of certain African countries turned around and said, well, actually, we want you to provide certain types of training and so on and so forth to build up more engineers and technicians for our people going forwards, so they can either implement their skills either in China or in Europe or in America, and be able to provide even more infrastructure, come back and earn even more wealth working for these big tech companies, and maybe even set up their own tech companies in the future. Do you get what I'm saying? And this is the thing. Like,
What I would say
out of this deal, I want to see African tech companies coming up and booming. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Africa, be careful about talking about Africa like it's one. They are
No, I'm
different.
not. I know it's not one. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, there's different African countries that have better deals with China. For example, the country of Rwanda, whose economy is, fastly growing, and they're manufacturing their own phones. Yeah. But there's other countries, when you look at the deals that they've made with China, that they're going to be heavily in debt. Yeah. And what the Chinese have done in Ethiopia, that they've built factories. They manufacture Ethiopia. And one of the deals that the Chinese have made is to train Africans as well.
In Ethiopia.
But you have to look at different African countries. Not all the deals that are made with the Chinese in African countries are the same.
Do you not think that'll be a sticking point then? Can you not see the play there either? Don't get me wrong, I understand that there's different minerals.
The African countries are sovereign countries. Say, for example, Zimbabwe makes a bad deal with China. You're not going to blame, for example, I don't know, Ethiopia.
No, I'm not though. But the point is, the point I've made is, you see what Ethiopia have demanded in their deal. Yeah, other countries have not. Yeah, and those other countries potentially have even more resource, even more riches than Ethiopia. Do you get what I'm saying? So Ethiopia stood up and said, no. If you're going to do this, you got to provide this and give us training and so on and so forth and this and that, yeah? Excuse me. And I'm saying there's other countries that haven't. And that's what I'm talking about, because there's been politicians within certain of those countries within Africa that have seen money as opposed to the betterment of their people and the independence of their people. Do you get what I'm saying?
Like, for example, if we look at Rwanda, but this is the thing, it's the same thing in Europe. They are Eastern European countries that are very poor. That is why Eastern Europeans move to Western Europe. So this is what we have to remember in Africa, that a country like Rwanda, that had a terrible civil war, is now one of the fastest growing economies in the world. And their manufacturing base is rising. But all these African leaders, they can't be, the Rwandan president can't be accountable for a bad deal that Niger makes with the Chinese. And you have to give credit to the African leaders that have made good deals with the Chinese. You can't paint the whole of Africa and say that they're all making bad deals with the Chinese, when most of the information, when they say they're making bad deals with the Chinese, is coming from the former colonizers anyway, who hardly did anything.
Good evening, everybody.
Big up yourself, Kiro. Big up yourself.
Hello, mate. Can I just direct your attention to two things that I posted in the back chat?
Yeah, I've just clicked them open, bro.
That I think that Africa's biggest problems, and the problem is corruption. And you mentioned leaders should make better deals. They do, but I think they make better deals for themselves, not for their people. And that's the biggest problem. And I've not got a solution how you fix that, but when you talk about Chinese influence in Africa, it's not for the betterment of Africa, it's for the selfishness of the Chinese. So you could call it sort of a modern age colonialism, reverse colonialism.
Quantify that, because this is when we judge the Europeans. What they did in Africa, was it for the betterment of Africans, or was it for the betterment of Europe?
Absolutely not. It was for the betterment of themselves.
Yeah. Okay.
But they've been held accountable for that.
Have the Chinese colonized Africa or enslaved Africa?
No, it's reverse. You could call it reverse colonialism. They're still removing. China,
what I'm saying is China does not have the history of 400 years of oppressing Africans as the Europeans did.
Yeah, correct. But if we fast forward, say 40 years, I suppose you could see that from China because of the massive amount of money they're putting into Africa. And again, it's not for the benefit of Africans, as you've just been talking about. It's for themselves.
No, I didn't say that. That was emotions thing. That this is your.
Sorry, Betty. Yeah, but I agree with what Motion was saying.
I don't believe that the Chinese should be judged by what the Europeans did, and that's what I'm hearing a lot. That we're being told that the Chinese are coming to colonize, but you have no statement. You don't have any history to say that the Chinese have mistreated Africans in the same sense that the Europeans have done.
Do you know what history I have though? What history I do have, Betty, though, yeah, is the history of, for example, being a man that's from Jamaican heritage, or also a young man that researched the corruption from things like aid that used to go to Africa, and that less than a third of it used to get through to the actual people because politicians were siphoning it off into warehouses and then selling it back to the people that the aid was for. Okay, so when it comes to history, my history is not so much about the Chinese people. My history is more about what are African leaders doing in these deals for their people. Yes, we're looking at infrastructure, railroads, etc., but how much is it benefiting the people? Are the people being employed? Are we training young Africans to learn how to build railroads?
Yeah, but what I'm
alongside
saying,
the Chinese, those are the motives I'm looking at.
You're saying Africa, but like I said before,
African countries.
Not all African countries have bad deals. So what I'm saying,
African countries
like that. Talk about which African countries you're talking about, because not all of them had bad deals with China. This is propaganda when they start.
I'm not saying they all do. My point was saying, I said the African countries, as in each independent country,
just in general. I think it's just a generalization. It's nothing specific.
It's not a good generalization.
I know it's not, and I know there are countries that have got good deals, and how good they are, I imagine, remains to be seen, because obviously it's not going to be, going to see with the next 10 years how good it's been. You'd have to go sort of 20, 30, 40 years. But the influence that China has in certain African countries, I don't think it's going to be a good one. Hence the report that I put in the chat, looking at corruption.
Which when this report, can you read the main points of the report? Because you're saying corruption, but corruption in Africa is facilitated by the former colonizers, because this money that gets siphoned off ends up in Switzerland.
It isn't just that. Motion can put it on the screen and he can read it out if you like.
No, but I'm not going to read it out because it's your thesis. So if you're saying
it's not mine, it's something I've pulled up, but I have put it in the chat and he can read it.
I'm not going to read it. You're going to read it because you're the one putting it forward.
So I've shared the screen anyway, yeah, and I think one of them's a global corruption index, yeah, and it's talking about, it covers 198 countries and territories. The global corruption index provides a comprehensive overview of the state of corruption around the world based on 28 variables. Country results are presented on a 0 to 100 scale, where 0 corresponds to the lowest risk and 100 corresponds to the highest risk. Okay, and obviously you've got the lists and stuff like that, yeah. And obviously you look at the countries and their ranks. Sorry. Yeah, that's the top. So you got Denmark, Norway, obviously they're all very low, so on and so forth. Yeah, North America, Europe. And when we go to the highest ones, for the most part, it's Asia and Africa, for the most part, yeah. And that's the risk of corruption. And what the suggestion is that within, with these deals that are being made with China, is that the likelihood of the corruption, yeah, based on previous, based on history, has raised. Do you know what I'm saying? So there's more of a risk of there being corruption within Africa based on these deals that have been done with China. So those things are there, obviously, to give a kind of what shall I say, estimate on what could happen in the future. So it's not obviously written in stone, but based on the past, that's all the things that they're looking at about corruption raising amongst specific African countries. Do you get what I'm saying?
Okay, so when we're talking about the corruption and you're talking about looted money, let me explain how the West is complicit in it. It's that corruption in Africa is facilitated by the banking institutions that are located in Europe, North America, Switzerland, Britain, France, Luxembourg, Austria, etc. Because what people seem to, and it's a very one-sided argument, and this is what they like to do a lot with Africa. They like to tell you that the African leaders are looting money left, right, and centre, but they forget to mention who's keeping hold of the money. Because I can't loot money as a leader if I don't have somewhere to take the money to. And this is when the West comes in. So they're complicit. They complain about corruption, but you're actually benefiting from corruption of Africa and African. And when I know, for example, when Nigeria asked for the money back, yeah, it was a whole hee-haw to try and get the money back from the UK and Switzerland. So if you go, so this is when it comes about moralizing and when they really care about corruption, when so many of their banks are taking money.
Betty, can I just show you something? Not show you, but I just checked something out, yeah? So understand this, yeah? The infrastructure that is being built up within Africa is not for free. It is at a low cost to Africa. At a low cost to those African countries. Not free, not we're building it for free. We will build it for you for a cost, as well as having trade deals with you on your minerals.
Yeah, but that's business though, motions. You don't honestly expect.
But again, so it's not. So what are they doing then? So they're gonna. So certain countries. So we're gonna say that certain countries might not end up. So can we then say that? Are we gonna turn and say that all the countries in Africa that have dealt with China, none of them are gonna end up in debt to China?
No, I never said that. But what I'm saying is that you cannot paint all the countries and all the deals with China as exploitative and not benefiting Africa and the people.
I'd say they're not. I'd say they're all exploitative. To be fair,
I'd say that's giving China a bit too much credit, to be honest.
Yeah, I think they're all exploitative. I think some of them will just benefit certain countries more than others, but I believe they're all exploitative because they're all there to. China has a high oil consumption, coal consumption, and stuff like that. Yeah, they need Africa. So to be able to come and say to Africa, we're going to provide infrastructure.
How does Africa go? Africa.
Yeah. No. Again, I'd say Africa could say Africa needs the rest of the world too. You get what I'm saying? That's a difference. The rest of the world also needs Africa, but Africa jumped for me, yeah, went to the first bidder, yeah. And don't get me wrong, like it's a different position because certain countries are looking at their infrastructure and saying, "Oh, we definitely need the infrastructure." Yeah, in certain countries, I can understand it totally, yeah. And so the first bidder that comes with a decent deal is someone that you probably might say, "Okay, we'll deal with them," yeah, under the premise that this might be the situation, but sometimes hindsight is the best teacher. And what I'm saying is I'd hate for certain countries, yeah, within Africa to be sitting there looking at hindsight and it being their best teacher, as opposed to them saying, well, actually we pushed for the best deal we could in terms of what we do for our people, because saying to hire the Chinese, for certain countries to hire Chinese to build the infrastructure and they pay the Chinese for it, yeah, to me that doesn't suggest that the people that they're going to hire to do the work or train up will be anybody from any of those countries. It will be the Chinese coming in to do a job, move on to the next country, do a job, and those Chinese people will be paid handsomely for working away from home and so on and so forth. And that's what it will be for some countries. For some countries. I'm not saying all, some.
Yeah, but that's what you think it's going to be, and only time will tell. But it's a business deal. China is not there to give charity to Africa. Yeah, it's a business deal. So then China does not come into Africa in order to build up the infrastructure and mine minerals for free. This is business. And it's up to those individual countries in order to safeguard, you know, the national, as well as make a good business deal. But when you say about Africa going to the Chinese, they went to the first bidder, that's not true. Because to this very day, Britain, for example, in Nigeria, was meant to build up Nigeria's electric supply, and it didn't. It's still not stable. The former colonizers are still in their countries in Africa, and they have dibs. France has dibs on many projects in Francophone countries.
What company had the contract?
One moment. When they've not Total, yeah, a French company for Niger, yeah.
What was it called?
Oil. That's one of the deals that France made with the Francophone countries, that they get first dibs on infrastructure projects to get independence. So no, you know, many African countries didn't just go to China because they weren't even allowed to do that. But the fact of the matter is that France and Britain have not built the infrastructure that they were meant to build.
So which companies got the contracts to build those stuff in Africa?
Total.
In Nigeria, sorry.
No, Nigeria. Total.
In Nigeria.
Oil.
Okay, Total company. Yeah. Okay.
There's several different French brands, but I know for a fact that also UK aid was given. Millions of pounds were given to Nigeria in order to build up the electric supply, and it's still in a frigging state.
So why is that? Is that because the funds have been mismanaged, do you think?
Where did it get? If they get mismanaged, where did the money go to? Did it go back to the European banks?
Probably not.
I don't understand.
In a roundabout way, yes. Yes, in a roundabout way, yes.
The European and the Western banks.
Yes, but how many hands did it have to go through, do you think, before it went to a Western bank?
So
why did they take it? If Europeans are so concerned with the development of Africa and they're no longer trying to colonize Africa, yeah, why are they taking stolen money from African nations when they know that that's going to cause problems in those countries? They're doing it. They don't care.
Because someone else will take it. They don't give a shit. It's business. It's business. They don't care. They're not moral entities, are they? They really don't care. But my point is that aid goes over to
the Africans on it. So you can't be surprised if European banks and American banks and God knows, and those banks in the Cayman Islands and all those places in the Caribbean, yeah. If they're doing that, why wouldn't the Africans go to China instead, who don't have a history of doing that?
Are you sure
because that's the point's moot?
This is what the South.
Are you sure they don't have a history of doing that?
The point's moot because if they weren't able to move money from aid to Western banks, they'd move it to a Chinese one.
What's wrong with the Chinese banks?
They're still taking stolen money. That's the point.
But they're not. Where is the evidence to say that?
What he's saying is if they couldn't take it to British banks, yeah, they would take it to Swiss banks, they would take it to Cayman Island banks, they would take it to Chinese banks, they would take it to any other bank.
No, you can't bring in the Chinese. You have to.
I'm not bringing them in. I just brought in all of. Wait, Betty. I just brought in the whole of. I just brought in a lot of different countries.
The Chinese have taken stolen money because I can't for the Europeans and the Americans.
Nobody's saying they did. Nobody's saying they did. What we're saying.
So why are you blaming them for something that they never did?
We're not.
No. Betty, nobody is blaming them. What we are saying is, if the British, was not allowing it, big up Veli. If the British were not allowing the company to bring the money back into Britain, what they're saying is that they would find another route, i.e. that's why I gave different countries like Cayman Islands, Switzerland, and stuff like that. That's why I gave other countries, but also mentioned China, because China is another country that they could have banked with. Not saying that they have done it. We're saying if they were unable to do it through British banks, they would use another platform.
Yeah, but this is what I don't think you're getting. You can't loot money from Africa unless you got somewhere to store the money. So the people that are storing the money, knowing fair well that that money is stolen, are not going to start lecturing on corruption because they're corrupt.
Where the money's being stored is not really relevant. It's who
yes,
is.
It is.
I'm not saying it's not relevant.
Yes,
but
it is.
Just
It's
listen to what I'm saying. Who is giving the banks the money?
Take the money? Are they corrupt? Are the
Who is-
European banks and the American banks that take Africans' looted money? Are they just as corrupt as the Africans?
Correct.
Are
Yes.
they part of the problem?
But that we seem to be dodging the point that who is giving
No, it's
the
not dodging
European.
It's
No,
not-
I don't mean to be disrespectful, Betty. Honestly, I really
No,
don't.
but it's not dodging the point because what you're doing is what many white people do. They
No,
want to blame Africa and say that Africans are corrupt, but they never talk about their dirty, thieving hands in the whole thing. They will tell you that they're coming as Europeans and Americans to come and build better things for Africa. They're no longer colonized when they're sitting there with their looted money and the
Yes.
looted treasures, like the bronzes that the Europeans stole.
Yes, but
800 of them are in Britain.
Who is giving the banks the money?
Back?
Who is giving the banks the money?
Out of stolen goods.
But who is giving the banks the money? This is a factor we have to think about. I'm not saying it's the only factor.
But what you're not considering is the Europeans, the former colonizers, that are keeping hold of the stolen goods and then got the bloody cheek to come and tell the Africans, why are you so undeveloped? You're so corrupt. When they're enjoying the interest on the stolen money.
Okay, let's suggest for a minute the European banks didn't take African money. What do you think would happen?
That's not happened, does it?
Well, let's just pretend that. I
wouldn't answer that question until you answer.
So Betty, last year,
Betty, Africans on corruption when they're just as corrupt.
Betty, last year, a Chinese man was on trial, yeah, for bribing officials in Uganda and Chad, respectively, for up to 2.9 billion. Yeah.
What do you think he was getting for his money?
The deals, yeah, for 2.9 billion. Yeah. Okay. Let's stop acting like these deals do not get, whether it be Britain, whether it be Brazil, whether it be America, whether it be China, whether it be Japan, whether it be India, wherever it is. Yeah. Let's stop acting like these deals are not bloody entrenched in corruption and backhanders and this one and that one. When look at what's going on with the vaccine alone and stuff like that. Their mates companies are providing PPE that's not being provided, and nobody can't change or do nothing about it. So we can see the corruption. Yes, the British are corrupt. We can see it within our own eyes. But I am talking about specifically my worry, not that it's going to happen. My worry, okay, about the Chinese deal in Africa. In African countries, certain African countries, yeah, that I'm talking about my worry, yeah, my concerns, yeah, and what I believe certain countries should have gone for, as opposed to letting certain things up, okay, and not providing enough for their people. And that's it, literally. And knowing that also there's going to be corruption, knowing that those countries and the leaders are going to have their heads swayed by money, like 2.9 billion. And that's what I fear, what I'm seeing happening in certain places.
Let Veli respond because he's come on the channel, isn't it?
Big up Veli, big up yourself.
Veli, put your case forward, Hood.
Oh, go on, man. I just have to say, well, go on real quick still, man, but my phone's ringing. Hold on.
Hold on. Same old Veli and that.
Yeah, this guy, Veli comes on and he'll only literally be here for like 5 minutes. That's why I say that, Veli, speak the team because we know you're always on the road.
Busy man, you got me. Yeah, I should have shut up and let him go. You got me. Mad thing. But yeah, that's just for me. It's more about like a fear in it, and then obviously I can go and research and see certain things and understand. Well, actually, yeah, the fear is actually a reality in some aspects in certain places. And yeah, it's again, my points that I'm making is proven. There's a clear agenda. So one of the topics here is how a Hong Kong millionaire's bribery case exposes China's corruption problem in Africa. Yeah.
What I would say is that regardless of one Chinese man exploiting in Africa, there is no way that the Chinese will ever catch up with the Europeans after 400 years of exploiting Africa.
Yo, Mosh, add me back, cuz.
Yo,
My Bluetooth cut off still. Add me back, yeah?
Yeah, go on, man.
Oh, is he gone?
Yeah, he said no, he's gonna jump back on. He's gonna jump back up. But yeah, man, the way I see it, it's not about one person. It's right. This is what I'm trying to say. What do you think? This one person is just bribing one country, or this is just one person bribing one country? It's gonna obviously that's one person just shows that it's gonna be others. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, come on,
I think it's more better the devil you know, isn't it?
Yeah, if there was not one bribe made, I'd agree with you. But the fact there's one bribe would show me there's gonna be more than one. Literally.
What about the bribes of the French and the British, though?
What about them? Yeah, but what about them? What about? I'm not talking about the French and the British. I don't play what about.
You're talking about Africa's biggest problem is corruption. But what I'm saying is that the former colonizers' corruption still continues.
Yeah, and I know this. But the point I'm making is
helping Africa.
But listen,
why aren't you concerned with the biggest corruption people in Africa?
Betty, I'm not having a conversation. That the topic in the article wasn't about Britain. Yeah, the topic in the article was about Britain and the USA trying to make an inroads into what China's doing in Africa, and that conversation then progressed on to my fears about what China may be doing with certain countries in Africa and what I believe certain African leaders should be fighting for and what kind of infrastructure they should be looking at, as opposed to actually you coming with your companies, monopolize all the money, all the wealth, and don't actually provide fuck all for our country, bar railroads for you to transport your goods out. That's my point I'm making. At no point did I, or even feel like I need to make a comparison between Britain, because I'm not talking about a deal with Britain building infrastructure. If and when that happens, I will talk about that then. And then I will talk about the history and why Africa should just turn around and say, fuck you. Yeah. But at the minute, I'm talking about China, because China's the people that are dealing with them right now. Britain are not part of it. USA are not part of it right now. I'm talking about China and the deals that are already struck up, and the fact that there has already been corruption, and that what I fear has already been coming to pass already. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? So I know what Britain and the USA and France and Germany in Africa. I know exactly what they've done. Understand this, Betty. I am a descendant of what they've done in Africa. Remember that.
Motion, you made an article. You just spoke about
I read it.
Of the US and Britain making inroads into Africa.
No, not making. Planning to get into that thing that China have got. So they want to. You understand me? They want to break up and get part of that slice. And I said to you, I believe that what Britain and China are going to do is start off maybe some civil war where they're both funding opposite sides. That was one of the things I said to happen, that what I believe would happen also. Yeah. So I've not left Britain out of the equation, but like I said, in my view, the conversation progressed to talking about my fears with China's deal, not so much about Britain anymore, because I understand that's their aim. And when that becomes more apparent and I have more information on it, then I will discuss it and give my opinion on that. But like I said,
as an African notion, yeah, I'm concerned with the biggest corruption, which is the former colonizers, because they've been at it 400 years. Yeah, and we still haven't managed to get rid of them in many African countries. South Africa being a prime example of the exploitation. Yeah. Now,
I hear what you're saying. I hear that. But I want to understand is when So for me, when did Africans or Africa give a shit about the people in Brazil that they was happy to fucking sell off in the first place?
Let's go.
This is the thing I'm saying, doing it. Like we can always sit back and say, we can always say, let's look at history, let's look at history, colonizer this, colonizer that. But remember, those Brazilians were also sold.
But take the time to listen to the African leaders like Jacob Zuma that talked about the Chinese and why he prefers to make a deal with the Chinese and not the Europeans. And what he stated is because the Chinese have never enslaved or colonized Africans. And since he's the leader, take the time to respect what he's saying. So you can have your fears about China, but the fact of the matter is the people that have mostly exploited Africa are the Europeans.
Yeah, and continue to. I agree with you, and continue to. But that doesn't take away from me discussing China. I don't need to reference England or Britain and America and what they've done in Africa to talk about China. It's totally separate. I can cuss England and Britain for that another time. Me talking about fears about China, in my opinion, should not include what the British have done. Again, like I said to you, I don't play what about this. I don't play that game. I play deal with the matter at hand. About the matter at hand.
Dishonestly, because you actually brought up the British and the US.
I brought up the article
and to counteract what the Chinese were doing in Africa. So you did the British.
Yes. No, I'm not talking rubbish. Betty, did I just say to you that the conversation progressed to me talking about my fears about China's deal? Did I just not say that too? That, in my opinion, the conversation progressed. There's people in the chat. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. Did the conversation progress to me talking about China's deal specifically? The article started off with me talking about Britain and USA coming together to do that. Yes, I agree with you on that wholeheartedly. But I then turned away from that and talked about the deals that were made specifically, not what might happen. That's what I'm talking about. What is and
what might happen. I'm talking about what's happening. Yeah. And my concern, your concern is the Chinese. Yeah. My concern is the people who are the biggest exploiters. If you want to talk about the Chinese, that small fry in terms of corruption in Africa, fine. But I'm going to talk about the people who are the big fry and that's still exploited. Yeah. Which is Britain, France, the Dutch,
the Germans,
etc.
Yeah, I get you, and I agree. And again, like I said to you, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
And that's cool, then. Let Veli speak anyway, because Veli do it on the channel, man. He'll run away soon. Veli, but speak up, man. I know you're going to run away like Speedy Gonzalez.
Oh, Lord. What's the next one? Roadrunner. Is it Roadrunner?
Yeah, that's what he's like. He does it all the time. He'll come on and go, I'm just coming, passing through to say hello, and then before you know it, like, Veli, where you
He's probably even on the phone, you know. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay.
Dep on some.
You can't hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you.
Come on. Jeez, we're there, man. Yes, come on, man. You know how the thing set, man. Happy wife, happy life. You get me? Chase.
Nah, G.
That's why Sundays is out the window now, man. Yeah. Yeah, man. But boy, I ain't really got much to say on the topic, man. Like, you know, obviously, but he's sort of got it covered on what he's sort of trying to say. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's not really much to it, man. It's like 6 to 1, half a dozen to the other, and yeah, man. You know what? Yeah, like if people like say like the average person starts to sort of get or take more of an interest or more of a positioning into politics and sort of like a lot of the backhanded side corruptions wouldn't be able to happen in it because it's like under the scrutiny of the whole community rather than do you know what I'm saying? That because yeah, it's the corruption thing that's messing up like our home countries, and it's the corruption thing that's messing up Jamaica, and that's got it in the position where it is now. Do you get me? Like, it has been handed bad deals after bad deals from the start, and even when it had a bad deals and was working its way out, we got a next bad deal from on next spot, and it's just, do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's where it is now. So,
Mm.
yeah.
This is the thing, like for me, again, I'm well aware, like I said to you, Betty, yeah, like understand the corruption in the politics in Jamaica alone, yeah, over the years and what election in Jamaica brings. Velly will tell you about the history and the things that are going on and stuff like that, how certain artists dead during that time there. Big artists, you know what I'm saying? So don't get it twisted. We understand what the British, the French, the Germans, the Dutch bring, the Portuguese, the Spanish, what they bring in terms of corruption, stuff like that to these countries. We totally understand. My only concern was literally just what infrastructure is actually being built within Africa under the premise of infrastructure and what exactly does that entail. That's it. That's it, literally. And I think I'm entitled to question that, as is anyone else. And you're entitled to say, well, actually, there's certain countries that have got good deals, like Ethiopia. Do you understand me? And that's good, because that's good to know that there's countries are getting good deals. That is good to know. Do you know what I'm saying? But again, for me, I'm looking at it like this, and I'm entitled again to look at it critically and think, well, actually, Ethiopia's by the sea. You get what I'm saying? So they're building rails to transport goods out of Africa, in my opinion. Do you understand me? Because that's what they're there for. That's what they're there for. They have massive flipping population. They need coal. They need oil. So obviously they're going to make a deal in their best interest. It's never going to be in Africa's best interest. Never. Like you said, it's business. No businessman makes a deal in another company's best interest.
Yeah, but neither did the former colonizers. They didn't
I know.
Anyways, in Africa.
Listen, sometimes they didn't even make deals, Betty. Betty, sometimes they didn't even make deals. Don't get it twisted. I understand it.
But that's up to the Africans. You know, this idea that people who are coming to do business, whatever country it is, are there to do some sort of charity and like they shouldn't make money and they shouldn't be trying to secure their own interest. Of course they're there to secure their own interest because this is business, this is not charity. Yeah, but it's also up to the African leaders, which some countries have, like Rwanda, make good business deals. The Chinese, we can't absorb Africans.
So was see Rwanda? Sorry to cut you. See Rwanda, yeah. Was this economy growing before the Chinese deal?
Well, remember, Rwanda's the one that had that terrible civil war that killed 1 million people. That is why people really look at Rwanda and look at how well it's doing after they massacred each other. It's a remarkable recovery in the space of like, I think, 20 to 30 years. And one of the reasons why Africans like China is because when you look at how the Chinese have managed to pull their people out of poverty in a very short period of time. So that, you know, the Chinese have lessons to teach Africans on that, because this is what Africans want to do: pull their people out of poverty. You know, we've tried the Europeans, and we all know what they did to Africa. So now it's time to try another people who don't have a terrible history in Africa and who've been able to pull their own people out of poverty. And also another thing with the former colonizers, the conditions of the aid and that they give. And also when you look at some of the African leaders that have asked for infrastructure projects in Africa, and the colonizers have said no, that's why they've gone to China as well. You know what I mean? This idea that the former colonizers that, oh, we just want to build up Africa, when they don't. Because if they wanted to build Africa, they would have done it. But the Chinese, when they offer loans, they don't start talking about, this is one of the things, let me read from this article, when they talk about one of the reasons why African leaders like China, because they don't start talking about democracy. As, you know, the former colonized love to talk about, you know, you got to be, the only political system that they believe is the best is democracy.
Big up scientific. Yeah. But can you see with the other thing that I put on the bubble, yeah? We're talking about even the corruption between China and Britain. Now, what do you think that entailed? The bringing in of 3 million Hong Kong citizens into China, and also the investment from Chinese companies in Britain in terms of building houses. It's the same thing. There's been corruption, and that's my point I'm saying, yeah? Like, there's never going to be...
But weren't the British the ones that got the Chinese addicted to opium? Wasn't HSB bank set up on the profits of the opium wars. So me personally, looking at it from both sides, if I was Chinese, I wouldn't take any lessons from the British on human rights, corruption, when they made their money getting people addicted to opium, filthy money. And that is why Hong Kong was taken away from the Chinese. And this is one of the reasons why the Chinese are very nationalistic, and they want to lock down, and they don't want the British influence because of what was done to them. And you can't blame them.
But Hong Kongese will disagree with you on that.
So that
Hong Kong were colonized by the British. Of course, they're going to disagree with me on that. But I'm talking about Hong Kong is not the whole of China, is it?
No, it isn't. But no one's doing anything in Africa for moral reasons. Let's face it, that's what we're saying. Nobody is really, are they? They're
not the British, not the Chinese.
No one is.
In my opinion,
I'm saying that no one's doing anything in Africa's best interest, particularly I don't
agree with that. I think that's a very pessimistic attitude to believe that Africa can't have friends.
It can have friends, but it's not being helped by the people exploiting Africa. That includes Britain, France, African leaders who are taking this money. And if we're going to talk about people helping China out of some sense of noble morality, I would just look at China's human rights history. They ain't it. They act as you just alluded to, they act in their own national interest. They are very nationalistic, almost fascist, in fact. But, I'm not sure that, again, China is acting in Africa's best interests. But we'll find out. We'll find out in 40 years, I suppose.
No, it'll be a lot more than 40 years. Because the British and the French have been in Africa for 400 years.
Yes, I know, but the level of technology has gone so far that things.
40 years.
Yes, but the level of technology now has accelerated in such a way that things have kind of sped up. So you're going to see changes happen in a shorter period of time. So you're not going to need 400 years to make the distinction between what happened during colonization and what happened when there was Chinese influence in Africa. You won't need that long. I don't think so anyway. Like I say, how long did it take to build a railroad, 300 years ago? A lot longer than it does now.
I got another article to show you that, again.
Okay.
Yeah, just to go into it, yeah.
There he is, the man himself.
Yeah, so it says China's aid outlay to Africa has grown rapidly over the last 2 decades, rising to its largest figure of 15 billion in 2018. In doling out these packages, President Xi Jinping has stressed the condition-free nature of the assistance and how Beijing wasn't seeking selfish political gains in investment and financing cooperation. His words. Yet foreign aid from China to Africa has proven to be political, at least on the local level, defined by narrow sectional interests and captured by state clientelism. A new study says, published in the Journal of Development Economics, the study examined 1,650 development projects done between 2000 and 2012 based on 117 African leaders' birthplaces in 49 nations, including Kenya, Ghana, Egypt, Ethiopia, South Africa, and Nigeria. The total number of projects covered was an estimated 83.3 billion. Researchers showed the birth regions of African presidents received nearly triple the number of aid inflows from Beijing in the years when those leaders were in power compared to other times. These incumbents also allocated significant aid to their own backyards in the year before competitive elections in a bid to improve their chance of staying in power. Leaders also largely distributed aid, not just in their own home districts, but also in their home provinces, so as to maximize voter turnout in stronghold areas. Before assuming office and after vacating it, the study noted there was no increase in Chinese aid, concluding that these effects were casual. For comparative purposes, the paper looked at 533 projects worth 43.4 billion undertaken by the World Bank. The authors say they didn't notice preferential treatment in relation to the spatial distribution of the projects, mainly because of the cost-benefit analysis and appraisal procedures demanded by the World Bank before funding is granted. The data sheds light on the on-demand nature of China's aid packages and how African leaders could abuse them for their own political gains. While both Western and Chinese aid is linked to either party's donor interests, Beijing doesn't generally tie its support with improving governance and accountability, adhering to international best practices, or dealing with corruption. So yeah, that's what
a fantastic article. That eloquates my point, quite well. That's what I was saying. It's yes, there are a lot of factors, but the money goes into the hands of African leaders, many who've been in political power for a long time, and they want to remain that way. And the way they stay that way is through money. So that's really a good article. I'm glad you found that.
Politics is corrupt.
Absolutely.
Wherever we go is corrupt.
Absolutely, I agree with you on that. But as I say, regarding the China question, you've only got to see, the human rights track record wherever you can find it, because reporting out of China is sketchy at best. But you can see what's happening in the east of the country, the west of the country, and in the South China Sea. I just don't think it's any good. I think personally, and this is probably might upset some people, just stick with better the devil you know. At least European countries will, as the article alluded to, will look into corruption and how aid is distributed, rather than just given to a political leader who's going to follow it into his own backyard to secure his power position. As the article said, China's not interested in that. They'll just say, no, here's the money, do whatever.
Yeah. Literally.
They're not interested in the best practices, so to speak. So I think that's Africa's biggest problem is corruption. Yes.
Why? So this is the problem that I have with what you're saying. Who else is on Africa but African leaders? Yeah.
Say that again, Betty. I didn't hear that. Say that again, sorry.
Who else is going to run? Because the gentleman's thesis is African leaders that are the problem. But who else? Like he's implying that someone else should come in and run Africa.
In my opinion, they're part of a big problem. They're part of it. Yes.
The only person that is going to run Africa and should be running Africa is Africans. And
I agree with you.
Yeah. Secondly, in terms of this is one of the reasons why Africans don't like to deal with the former colonizers and all their incarnations, whether they're Americans and stuff, is, for example, Obama. They want to tie aid to gay rights in Uganda. I've got a Ugandan friend. Yeah.
I think he's doing it. Biden's doing it now as well.
Yeah, they're tying aid to say that you've got to have human rights for gays and lesbians. Yeah, but the Chinese don't do that. Yeah, and when Africans have said that this is not what we do in this country, Ghana was one of the countries that said this is not what Ghanaians would accept in our society. We're God-fearing people, and when you're not going to tie aid and tell us that we have to legalize homosexuality in our country. Uganda was one of them as well. Britain tried to tie aid to liberalizing the gays, and just saying that gays can get married. And what Britain did was take out their embassy out of Uganda. So if you wanted to go to Uganda and wanted to go from Uganda to Britain, you had to go to South Africa for a visa. Now, this is what they call soft power. When you're trying to colonize people and tell people how they should live. Now,
it's disgusting. I agree with you. Absolutely.
It's fucked up.
Yeah, I agree with you. If you're gonna help people, I think help them with aid. You said the problem is African leaders. Who's gonna run these African countries? I think it should be Western educated Africans.
You see, and this is another colonization through the back door.
No, it's not colonization.
I think the problem we have with that, Keo, is that
educated African leaders.
I think the problem we have that, Keo, is that we've had Western educated Arab leaders. Yeah, and that's not turned out too well. And I don't think Africans in general want what they might class as a Western puppet. and I don't think Western education will qualify a man to on the ground to understand African problems. I don't think. I think you need to have experience of living in Africa, both as a child and as an adult, and understand the social economic issues that go on there.
Yes,
as well as the tribal differences among different regions and stuff.
yeah,
like that.
I'm not suggesting that you go in and sweep them all out and then just replace them with black people from Britain. That's a silly idea. Obviously, maybe advise and things like that. But what are the solutions?
What could we advise them to?
Let him see. Why do you want Western educated Africans to run?
Because they're the least corrupt.
This is what I mean. This is
I agree with that.
Now, when you're chatting like that, you know what I mean? It's anti. So you're basically saying that.
See, I don't mean to antagonise you. I promise you, I'm not.
By your statement, this is what I'm getting from it. You're trying to tell me that my mum, that was born and raised in Africa, is more corrupt than me because I was born in Britain. That's what I'm getting from your statement.
Yeah, I'm not.
I don't mean it that way. Do you know what I mean? But
So
what I'm saying is that
I'm Western educated.
Yeah, and if you've got I think you should be a politician. I think you should be an African leader. You'd be a great one. You are Western educated, but you're not going to be susceptible to corruption, are you? Because you can see the damage that it's done. You've not had it surround you. You would go there with a different train of thought and go, no, I want to help the people. Someone came and threw a big bag of money at you, you'd be more inclined to go, no, I'll take that money. I'm going to use it to help the people, rather than just go, I'm just going to secure my power base, which is what's been happening.
Look, hon, if Africans, to say that, I don't believe that's true. And this is why I don't believe it's true. Because they are Africans that have caused revolutions in their country because of corruption. For example, Burkina Faso, when the people rose up and drove their president, who was complicit in killing Thomas Sankara, yeah, they drove him out. Yeah. There's a long list of Africans that are not born in the West and had a Western education that have done that. So credit the Africans in Africa for understanding that they don't want corrupt leaders. Some of them have died fighting that.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you allow me, can I soften your statement a little bit? So
I think you should. Yeah, it wasn't the best example. I get that. So you could probably be a bit more eloquent than I could on the subject.
Would this sound? Because I understand where he's coming from. As although I don't agree with what he's saying about Western educated, but in terms of maybe a different outlook, perspective, and stuff like that to bring to the table. But for me, it wouldn't be as a leader. Yeah, for me, there's no way I would say, for example, me as a born British Black Jamaican, that I should then turn around and be able to go and run the country like Jamaica, because I didn't grow up then. I don't understand the economic situation. I'm only looking at it from an outside perspective. Do you know what I'm saying? But what I could do from an outside perspective is maybe provide some kind of ideas as to how to help build that infrastructure with experience in maybe politics, or do you know what I mean, economics, or do you know what I'm saying, that kind of thing, maybe in that sense. So maybe a different perspective, maybe the word that might be a better suited in that situation. I don't know.
Hey, I got to fly out though, yeah?
Yeah, brother, man. Say nothing, man.
I'll see you, man, tomorrow, yeah?
Yeah, man. Big up.
Yeah, big up, baby. Big up, Mosh. I'll chat Black Hill, yeah. I'll chat everyone in the chat.
Good night, mate.
Hit the like, subscribe, share, and all them things there.
Come on. Big up yourself. G-Block.
G-Block. Come on. Peace.
Big up yourself, bro. Betty, how does that resonate with you in that sense?
Yeah, it's definitely a better.
Sorry, I was a bit. I didn't really think it through, and it probably did come across a bit harsh. But I think that would be the best way, because yes, there have been revolutions in Africa, but how well have they turned out for the people? A lot of the time, or some of the time, they probably traded one dictator for another, or someone who didn't have the best interests of the people. It was just a power grab. it always starts out, yes, we want to do better for you, but ultimately a lot of people suffer for it because they don't get the future that they hoped for.
So can I ask a question to both of you, independent of that, just to kind of like, not just switch it up a little bit, but still the same thing. Do politicians have a no-win situation in that sense then? Because especially in somewhere like, for example, forgive me if using an example, but somewhere like Nigeria, where there's so many different groups of people, ethnic groups of people, and obviously you may have a leader from a specific ethnic group that might identify, not so much identify, but might resonate and understand and have cultural similarities to say such and such and such and such and such. But these ones here, they do practices that we've never agreed, we've never really been into them like that. And you have to find a way as a politician to then accommodate them as a people, don't you? And I think probably that's why the question is, do you think that in some senses the politicians are into on a no-win situation, and what would be the best way in that sense in terms of governance? Would you because I think, Betty, did you mention about you didn't like the you don't want independent states in Nigeria? Do you want a whole Nigeria?
No, like, I mean, the Biafra thing. I don't really care whether Biafra exists or Nigeria exists. I'm just concerned with governance.
Okay.
And good governance, because.
So how would you fix that then, knowing that actually a politician from a specific demographic isn't necessarily going to provide for another demographic? How would you fix that then? Would you have governance for each? So, for example, a group, would you group backgrounds? Would you group certain sets of people together and then have a set of governance that is amalgamated between those sets that are similar and others, or would you still have the one rule all kind of situation?
Well, Nigeria is set up as a federal state. So you have federal states, you have people who are elected from that ethnic group to govern that state, and etc. But I think the biggest issue in Nigeria is, inside influence coming in, and
outside influence.
Yeah, inside influence.
Oh, inside. Okay.
I mean, sorry, outside influence.
Yeah, that's what
outside influence, like companies paying off leaders. Like you've got, many of these Dutch Royal Shell, where they polluted the Niger Delta, and the people who were found guilty in court was the Nigerian Shell, but the parent company, which is British and Dutch owned, didn't take any of the blame.
Yeah, naturally, that happened. Collateral damage, innit?
Yeah, they divorced themselves from the parent company. So, for me, that just shows me what influence that the Dutch and the British have.
Did that company collapse? Do you know that? Did that independent? Was it independent or a franchise? Basically, did they collapse, or did they maintain their business? Do you know?
Dutch Royal Shell.
No, not the Dutch Royal. The Nigerian one. Yeah.
I'm not too sure if it's still going, but I don't think it would just like disappear overnight. But for me, it was just like, how the hell can the parent company divorce itself from what their little company's doing?
And then, I mean, they do though, because if you look at the NHS, if you make a fuck up in the NHS, and you ain't done your documentation, you're on your own.
It's the trust. It's the trust that takes the fall.
It doesn't have little companies. The NHS is one big company.
No, but what I'm saying is each individual person, if they was to make a cock up, and it wasn't, they didn't do what they were supposed to do, what they've been directed to do, they're on their own. Literally, the trust will just be like, yo, listen.
Yes, there's the National Health Service, but it's broken into trust. So if my consultant at one of the hospitals here, messes up, and then I put a claim against, the hospital, it's the trust that pays me, not the National Health Service as a whole. So I get what you're saying, but I think like any country, you would need a powerful leader, a powerful speaker, not necessarily one that everyone can identify with culturally or ethnically, but just on a national level, and say, look, we're going to put Nigeria, we would have put Nigeria first. That's it. You know, you've all got to believe that Nigeria is the best place, and we're going to make it the best place it can be as a people. That's a terribly hard thing to do. There's very few countries in the world that do that just by political sway. But if you could do that, then you're set, aren't you? But that means unifying, as Betty said. I didn't know this, but Nigeria is a federal state. So how are you going to unify, you know, all those different states under the banner of we're Nigeria? Because people will be, you know,
that's right, yeah,
jealous of their own history and their own area where they're from.
And I think that's why Nigeria is looking to China, isn't it? Because China has different religions and different ethnic groups. They're not all Han Chinese.
Yeah, but it's not working out. That's not working out for the Uyghurs, is it?
They're only a little. That is like a
all the Buddhists.
They are.
Yeah, Buddhists have a rough time as well. But yes, China acts. China's huge. Oh, apologies. Sorry.
Yeah, if you let me finish, China is the global. It's the second or third biggest economy in the world. Yeah. So I think that is one of the reasons. I think Nigeria can learn a lot from China in how to deal with diversity in the country, as well as look after its people.
Because Nigeria economically is actually quite all right, isn't it?
Yeah. Even though it has,
and it's growing, isn't it? It's been growing.
It's the second biggest economy in Africa.
Yeah, and it's been growing still, hasn't it? As it continues to grow. Yeah. So I guess handling that kind of economic power, it can look towards China. But what it's got to be
and ethnically.
Say again, sorry.
And ethnically.
Yeah, I mean,
well,
yeah, I get you, but there's elements of Chinese society that I think some people, like obviously me being a British person, will look at me like, oh, fucking hell. Do you know what I mean? And that's natural. But yeah, I guess what you're saying. I guess ethnically, yes, within some to some degree. I wouldn't say ethnically in its entirety, because obviously there's questionable things that they've done with certain ethnicities within China. Do you know what I'm saying? You know, like the black population within China. Yeah, or the Muslims or the Buddhists or so on and so forth. So you have to be mindful of how far you take it in terms of your what you take from China in terms of handling things. But yeah, definitely you're right. Obviously, and that's a process, isn't it, of learning when you're a growing country, especially with your economy growing and things like that. Definitely, you're gonna have to learn from the countries that are seemingly
similar. Because I don't think Britain is not a similar country to Nigeria, because Britain, they only have like 3 different ethnic groups and like 3 countries. It's not, you know, and it's been going for like hundreds and hundreds of years. Nigeria is not even 100 years old, you know, and it wasn't a country that was formed because the people wanted to. It was formed because the colonized forced them together. So Nigeria needs time to, you know, create a Nigerian identity. Yeah, and even though they need time and they have issues, they're still one of the second biggest economy in Africa. So, you know, Nigeria has a bright future, but it will take time.
Yeah, I think they've just got to be smart with it, innit? And I guess in that sense, not rush, not walk before you can run, not run before you can walk. Sorry, in that sense, and take your time and make sure that as the economy grows, that the wealth throughout the country grows through each ethnic group. And you know, and that's the trick. For me, that is the trick, and that for me shows whether somebody is actually pro your region or country or nation, whatever you want to call it, or pro Africa, if you want to call it that, or pro Africans, whichever. But for me, those kind of actions would kind of show me whether or not actually you are pro or just pro you and yours. Do you know what I mean? Those actions is what happens when that economy grows. How does it benefit the people from the regions that you're not from, or that don't hold as much power and sway as the others? Do you know what I mean? But yeah. And I think that's how we should hold each government accountable, by what those people that are probably less beneficial are receiving.
Going through such turmoil, like for example, you had what they called the Arab Spring, which was like the North African Spring, because you had Algeria, Libya, Egypt. I can't remember if Tunisia. Then people were uprising because they were fed up of repressive regimes. So I think it's important that people have confidence in homegrown Africans to govern themselves and indigenous African ideas, and not this idea that no colonizer, nobody from the outside ever developed a country. It is the people in the country that will develop their country.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's true. So just gonna quickly move on. Yeah. So there's been recently. I didn't see the whole documentary, but they showed a little aspect of it. There's a young player. He plays for Fulham, football player. His name is Decova Reed, I think it is, or something like that. And he's chosen to play for Jamaica. Now, I don't think he'll ever probably be in contention for an England place anyway. And for me, it's good seeing these young people trying to raise the profile of Jamaican football and so on and so forth by joining them and using their expertise within Britain. So it kind of links into what we were saying, and to kind of like what Keo said earlier on about actually using the expertise that we learn here to kind of aid and complement what's already there, as opposed to go in there and trying to overhaul and change it and saying, listen, I'm less likely to be this because I'm from here. And again, if anything, that report shows that as well as China, Britain is involved in corruption both with China and in Africa, and as well as other countries. You know what I mean? And we can say that I'm not gonna say every, but there's a lot of governing bodies, whether it be politics, whether it be sports, that are corrupt. And I think when you put money into the equation and the amounts of money that are on offer in a lot of things, it's part and parcel of corruption. People are going to pay off money to sway a vote or to get people to vote a certain way, and that's what's going to happen. Do you know what I'm saying? Who can we? Do you know what I mean? What money? What amount? What amount is enough for somebody to say, actually, yeah, okay, I'll do it. Do you know what I mean? Like you're seeing people.
Depends on the person, doesn't it?
It depends on the person, right?
Everyone has a price. Yours might be higher than mine, but there may be a price that would turn your head. That's just human nature, isn't it? Unfortunately, we can't legislate for that, can we?
I don't know. It depends on what your morals are, in my opinion. If you have strong moral beliefs, I don't think there's a price for anything.
I agree with you on that. But that's a tricky road to go down, isn't it? When you talk about corruption and morals and places in the world. You can have an accusation leveled at you quite quickly. I don't really want to go there, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Them accusations.
Yeah, you see what I mean.
Yeah. I know about them accusations, mate. Someone, actually a friend of mine, he got banned from PlayStation. Actually, I found out today for a month for making a sexist comment on live, apparently. Or something that could be deemed sexist on live. And he got banned for a month.
Yeah, it's not the Wild West anymore on the internet when you could say what you want.
Right.
As it was back in the day, say what you want, people would say anything about your mum and whatever, and it'd be like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, now it's like, banned for 30 days. You might get a knock on the door because, someone's reported to the police. It's like, I really got nothing better to do. But but yeah, there's a lot of problems in the thing that gets me is there's we can all talk about the problems, that's fine, but very few people come up with actual solutions.
Yeah, I mean that's the hardest part, I think, though, because the problems are so broad, and this is why I asked the question: are politicians literally just in no-win situations, no matter what, and does it?
Oh yeah, it's a lose-lose.
Because
particularly if there's a large, if there's different ethnic groups in a place, it's as soon as you do one, something for one group, another group's going to go, well, what are you doing for us? And I wouldn't want to do it. It is an absolute lose-lose. You're just smoothing over egos, then, aren't you? Just trying to get something done. Groups are just out for themselves, then, aren't they? Like, what are you going to do for us? If you've done something for them, what are you going to do for us? Individuals will say, okay, well, it's the betterment for our country, but get them all in a group, they can say completely opposite. We can see it here in the UK as well, wherever you go. So Anyway, I've got to bounce, mate. It was good to talk to you.
Yeah, big up yourself, Theo, man.
I'll no doubt see you tomorrow on Valley's channel if you're about, whatever the question of the day is. All right, have a good evening, both.
All right, man. Take it easy, man.
Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm going to go to motions. Thank you for the debate. Good one.
Yeah, man. Big up yourself, man.
Jump on. The Americans normally jump on at this time as well, don't they?
We'll see.
Later.
All right, peace out.
Bye.
Yeah, people. One of them ones, boy. Get me. Big up Betty. Big up Keo. Betty knows her stuff about Africa, man. African history, African politics. She knows her stuff. You get me? So one thing I can say, she's into African politics, and she's on the ball in that sense. You get me? So yeah, man. Big up Betty. Get me? But yeah, come on, Stu. So what you say? Have you had vaccine? Have you had vaccine yet, Stu? That's what the next thing that I was talking about earlier is the vaccine passport and infringement, man, of our rights, man, as people, man. In my opinion, you get me? You need to have this to do this and that and that. Man, you're having a laugh, man. You get me? You're having a laugh. It's stupid. Like, so what the hell is this bloody vaccine for? Why are people getting vaccinated that are at risk for if you still need to have it to do anything? Like, none of it makes goddamn sense. And then they're talking about extending the powers of the coronavirus legislation for another 6 months. So we know what are going. If you don't know what are going, then boy, you better get to know what are going. Get me? It's a joke thing, like. It's a joke thing. Come on. Flip it now. But yeah, man, come on, Easter Sunday and all that. You're alright, yeah. Let me tell you this little story. I don't know if you lot saw it, yeah. So the other day, yeah, we all know who Ronaldo is, isn't it? Cristiano. So the other day, Cristiano Ronaldo. Let me get the story up. Cristiano Ronaldo, he got a goal disallowed, yeah, football, yeah. And being Ronaldo, he had his tantrum, yeah, and he literally he walked off the pitch, yeah, and threw his armband on the floor, yeah. And then so basically, let me read the article quickly. Mad thing, yeah. So so he threw his armband to the floor. His goal was disallowed against Serbia, and then a stadium worker collected the armband and was put up for auction, yeah, to raise money for a 6-month-old Serbian boy with spinal muscular atrophy. The target was 2.5 million euros for his treatment and operation. And this was 3 days ago, yeah. Over 7 million euros was already raised from the auction, you get me, for the one armband from the tantrum. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. That's why I put that little bit at the bottom in it. Yeah, of the description. Get me? One man's trash is another man's treasure. Get me? You get me? It's a mad thing. Yeah, that the brother took it, auctioned it, and was able to help a young man. You get me? Hopefully live a full life, or even a better life than what he may have had. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, that's a powerful thing right there. You get me? When I read it, I said, right, let me save that. You get me? Because I like stuff like that. You get me? Where you see things, you know, my man's tantrum and all that. Because when I saw it, I was like, look at this fuck. Like, literally, I was just like, look at this idiot. Like, you're the captain of the team. You're supposed to be the leader. And you're walking off pitch, car, go get disallowed. You get me? And all them kind of thing. Like, what's the problem? You get me? And then out of that, some little youngster, you get me, gets the treatment that he needs. You get me? And hopefully that man will donate more of that money to other children that have maybe the same condition that can get the same treatment. So with that money, he could potentially treat 3 children. Do you get what I'm saying? depending on what they've raised now. You never know, they could treat 4 children. Do you know what I'm saying? That's a mad thing, man. That's a yeah. When I read it the other day, I was like, wow, that's deep, man. That's deep. The man dash read the thing and someone take it and just auction it and get how much millions. Do you get me? Like, yeah, man. Just shows you in it, like, do you know what I'm saying? From every action, you get me, someone can benefit. Get me, and again, it ties back in to what I was saying. You get what I'm saying? About my concerns. And don't get me wrong, man, they're just concerns. Do you get me? They're just concerns. Obviously, there's evidence of other things happening, but I also understand and fully aware that happens within the realms of politics worldwide. Do you get me? I don't think you'll find a government that's not or governing body that's not had some kind of issue with corruption over the past. You get me? So yeah, nobody's being naive to that in that sense. You feel me? Yeah. But yeah, man. So the man dashed away his thing, someone took it and ended up treating a young man. You get me? It's yeah, man. Big thing for me, man. Nice story, you get me? Nice thing to see and read. Especially because I was one of those people that condemn the guy's actions as well. You get me? I'm not a hypocrite. I still think the guy's a dickhead for doing it. You get me? So I still think there's other elements at play, like you're supposed to be a flipping leader on the pitch in it, and your team rely on you. You get what I'm saying? And what next? What next are you gonna walk off about? You get what I'm saying? So yeah, I do believe that stadium worker, though, bigger that stadium worker, that saw the value in that and didn't think actually I can be a millionaire. And decided to. And you know what? Hopefully you get those riches, man. Hopefully you get those riches for that action. You get me? Anyway. You get me? But yeah, man. I saw it go. You get me? People looking out for each other. Do you get what I'm saying? And seeing opportunity where somebody sees nothing. Do you get what I'm saying? Seeing opportunity where somebody sees nothing. Yeah. And trust me, people, if you listen to this today or whatever day it is, if you've had nothing and had to make opportunity from nothing, yeah, for yourself or others, you will know what the hell I'm talking about. You get me? That's it. Simple. Don't matter where you're from, your background, whatever. If you've had nothing and had to make opportunity from nothing, yeah, or take whatever opportunity that comes from what someone else discards or doesn't see as important, then man, trust me, you ain't full yet. You get me? You ain't full out here. So think about how fortunate you may be. You get me? You see what I'm saying? But yeah. Another thing I want to talk about, yeah. And I don't like to talk about these kind of things, yeah, because it cheeses me off because they always put it down to specific people, yeah, when we know that other people that are out here doing these things that contribute to this as well. Maybe not on the same scale, but it's a contribution all the same. Yeah. So the article's about African elephants increased risk of extinction because of poaching. And I'm going to add trophy hunting as well. Yeah. I'm not allowing it to just be blamed on Africans. Yeah. And trophy hunting also. Yeah. Because without the trade for these goods, yeah, as well, yeah, there would be no need for it. Okay, so let's add that to it as well. Yeah, so there's this big thing where there's been sharp falls since 2008, and it's getting worse. You get me? And they're being driven towards extinction, and elephants are a huge part of the ecosystem, and yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So there's so many things going on at the minute. It's mad. Excuse me. I need to get a drink in a second. But yeah, they're out here killing the elephants for tusks and all them thing there. You get me? For ivory. So what I go on with that? What's going on with the markets? Why is there still a market? And why is there still such a big demand for these things? Do you get me? Who's demanding these things? Where are they going to? Do you get me? I'm interested to find out. I'm going to research on that. I'm going to touch on it next week. You get me? Yeah, and see where I go on with that. 1 second, people. Yeah, sorry, excuse me. So yeah, I'm gonna research that and see where what countries, sorry, should I say, are buying up the most ivory from dead elephants and things like that. Let's see what I go on. You get me? But yeah, that's another issue that we as bloody humans are doing to our earth. You get me? Stupidness. But yeah, so it go, man. Yeah, another news, that teacher, I think the support for him's gone up even more for that teacher to return back to work. So obviously, I don't know if there's going to be counter demonstrations or anything like that at any point. And hopefully, if there is, it doesn't turn into some stupidness. But I wouldn't be surprised. Definitely wouldn't be surprised to see some counter demonstrations and people saying, "Enough, we're not having it. We're not having it." Yeah. But what else can we say about that? You get me? Hang on a minute. So British Steel's needing another bailout. Yeah, again. So yeah, something's not right because Britain's one of the biggest producers of steel. And I remember I was listening to something the other day and they were talking about it was Boris was saying that they was visiting factories actually, and he was saying that he wanted to see the steel production rise and stuff like that. And now he's talking about they need a bailout. So yeah, it's interesting because he was on TV and all over the news, but in the paper it's just a little small print. You get me? And I just managed to see it and just circle it and say, "Oh, look at this." You get me? But there you go. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, mad. Oh, this teacher, 33, spare jail woman teacher, 33, who groomed, shut up phone, who groomed a pupil for sex at 16. So she was texting him for months and so on and so forth. And then whatever they done the thing. And she was hounding him apparently. You get what I'm saying? She said she thought he was 15. You get what I'm saying? Madness. And she didn't go to jail. Get me? So she admitted abuse of position of trust by causing or inciting sexual activity with a child. Her good character. Does she have good flipping character? Is that good character? Someone told me. For months she groomed a young boy. God knows if she did it before, and if she did, she wasn't found, and if she didn't, then okay. But her good character, which is for me is questionable to say whether someone got good character because they've just done that, is what prevented her from going to prison. Yeah, he said she messaged him constantly. They arranged to meet for sex. The court heard the sex took place one afternoon at home while his parents were out working. Miss Waters said he said that after they had sex, he felt awkward. He didn't talk to her. He told a couple of mates, which was how it got spread around. Parsons was arrested, immediately confessed and resigned. She must complete 40 days of rehabilitation, is subject to a sexual harm prevention order for 5 years, and must sign on a sex offenders register for 10 years. That's it. It says the sex was consensual. Her good character and remorse. Wow. She's a mum. She did not love him, and the attraction was pure sexual. That's what she's saying. So yeah, some ginger woman with short hair. To be fair, I'm not even that she was like a lesbian. She don't strike me as the kind of woman that would like stick. But there you go. Get me? But yeah, so that goes. So judge must have previous. Come on. Fucking joke, man. Absolute joke. But yeah, try and feed your family though. Try and feed your family or be homeless. Get me? It's a mad thing. Mad thing. So they're going on. Get me? But yeah. So they're going on. Judges. They let people off willy-nilly for all kinds of stuff. Get me? Grooming the little boy, you know. People are animals. Get me? Animals. Boom. Anyway, listen, I got a documentary for you lot to watch. Yeah, I watched it yesterday, and I'm gonna highly recommend it. Yeah, go and watch the Tina Turner documentary on Sky. Is it Sky? Yeah, it's on Sky. Yeah, Sky documentaries. Oh my days! Like, if you're into music, full stop, and Tina Turner, it's a good documentary for that. If you're into her history and her past and stuff like that, and the strong story that's there. Do you know what I'm saying? For me, it's a powerful story. Do you know what I'm saying? If you're into that kind of stuff, that's also there for you to get as well, yeah. But for me, there's an aspect of it, yeah, psychologically, yeah, that is really interesting with both her and Ike, and also my God, the press are absolute scumbags. Absolute scumbags. Like, just the things they ask her, like, is crazy. And I'm sure it's done to create a reaction in some sense, because I'm sure they must see it, you know, that people are uncomfortable with the line of question or the certain questions asked, and yet they continuously do it. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's interesting when you see some of the interviews, with, like, when it came to books and things like that she gave. You could see the emotional scarring that was there from what she went through, and understand what she went through wasn't just. I don't think I'm downplaying it when I say just. It wasn't. Oh, let me remove the word just. It wasn't only physical violence and mental abuse and torture. Yeah, it went a lot further than that. And it's mad, it's mental. But then hearing him talking, hearing things about him, seeing the trauma that he was in, that turned him into that animal. Do you get? It was a madness, and then exacerbated by drugs also. Oh my God, man, it is deep. It's deep. I think I'm gonna do a full review on it, yeah, on the channel, so look out for it, yeah. And I'll probably just do like little clips of it, little 30-second clips of it and stuff. I think I'm gonna do a little review of it because it was really interesting, and I'm gonna give you an insight into how my mind works, looking and watching these kind of things and seeing the dynamics of any given situation and relationship and things like that. I think it's really interesting watching people, and as much as these situations are horrible and we don't want to have them happening, they are here, and I think it's important in some sense to get to the bottom of both sides, and understanding, and come from a place of understanding before we not so much before we judge, because we can say that we don't agree with something in any circumstance, which is fine and fair to do if we have that strong belief. But I just believe that yeah, there was so many aspects at play in that relationship and that dynamic for both of them that made one perpetuate abhorrent behavior and the other continue to put up with it, seemingly put up with it, should I say, in loosely, or just yeah. And for example, what both of them psychologically believe that the other gave to them without it being spoken. It's honestly, it's so interesting. And if you're into psychology and stuff like that, and those kind of dynamics, it really is something you can sink your teeth into. And no doubt I'll probably watch it again and get another view on how the dynamic of that relationship was and stuff like that. But it was so interesting. And yeah, definitely something that I'd say if you're interested in those kind of things. The other aspect of it, yeah, there's one aspect I can talk about. Actually, I will talk about of it was how she wasn't really popular until she became more rock and more European. And the other thing was, it was just Let me just stay on that point actually for a second. Yeah, which was quite interesting. And it's the same as I mean, Beanie Man said it years ago about Bob Marley, and he said, "Oh, I'm a bigger artist in Jamaica than Bob Marley." And historically, he's wrong, but in terms of actual record sales within Jamaica, he's right. Jamaica didn't embrace Bob Marley in the same way. Like one of the factors they talked about was it River Deep? When they made that song, they believed it would have been an absolute smash. And when you listen to the song, it should have been an absolute smash for its time. The problem was with it was that the racial divide within America and the way America, the place that America was sitting at the time, meant that the European origin people would say, "Oh, it's too R&B," but the black people were saying it was too pop and it was too white. So it was too much of the other for both sides, which made that that song actually not do anything. Whereas within England, that song was just seen as good music from abroad, and so it didn't. So they got most of their money off of that song and most of their popularity from that song within within the UK and Europe as opposed to America because of the racial tensions. Which was again, there's another honestly, when you watch it, like I swear to you, I sat down, I was like, yo, every like few little bits, like I'm just like, it's so serious. So much little bits on there, you get me, that you can sink your teeth into. And yeah, again, get an insight into who is someone who is a legend, I guess. But a legend someone that became a legend late in her life, very late in her life. Do you know what I'm saying? In terms of, I say not very, no, that's wrong, not very, but later in life, middle age and stuff like that, she became a legend. In that sense, and she didn't have that whole catalog of songs as a young woman that was like top 10, top 5, top. Do you know what I mean? That kind of thing, hit after hit. She didn't have that. All that stuff came later in life, and also it was interesting because I didn't know she'd been doing the Vegas shows for years before she'd even, signed the deal. And then obviously when she signed the deal, that it still took a while for her to even, you know, get herself out there. So again, it's another example of, in that sense, the persistence as well. The persistence, yeah, and crazy. And the other part was, that same song River Deep. The story behind it was they're talking about her. She actually sang in a way she'd never been used to singing before, or in a way that she'd never been allowed to sing. Do you get me? Allowed to sing. It's crazy, man. There's so many things that play in that time. You get me? But yeah, it was a good watch. It was a good watch. You get me? Good watch. I enjoyed watching it. You get me? But yeah, should have a look at that if you can. Have a little butchers. You get me? See you are one on that one. You get me? Have you not been watching the Iceland volcano as well? Yeah. We just said, man out there. I saw a little thing with some people playing flipping volleyball. Was it what? Yeah, they was playing volleyball or something like that. You get me? People are mad, yeah, man. You get me? But yeah, out playing volleyball by erupting volcano. You get me? It's mad. If that was in Jamaica, yeah, I'm telling you, the people there would just be well away. They wouldn't be that close. I'll tell you that much. They wouldn't be that close. Not at all. You get me? They be going mad like this and madness. Get me? But yeah, man. It's kind of one of them dead days. Kind of expected it still, guys. Flipping Easter and all that. All you man are eating your chocolate eggs and them thing there. Get me? Watching Moses and all that. And Jesus of Nazareth. Get me? Perpetuating the supremacy. Mad thing with Cesare. You get me? You man and Cesare. You man are watching Cesare and all that. Get me? Yeah. Come on. Watching the Cesare imitations and that, pretend to be Jesus and that. Good luck with all that. Like my pops called me today. Yeah. And you're saying the same thing. He's like, yo, you know something? I watched them thing there from me, a little boy. Get me? I'm like, pops, yo, good. Like, I think I watched them twice. Get me? And from earlier, I was like, nah, bun this. I ain't watching this. I forget that. Get me? But yeah, you get me? Giving you man the Ross Clark, Jesus of Nazareth. I think they're probably gonna put on Ross Clark. What's his name tomorrow now? What's the next one now? You got the Moses one. You got the flipping Jesus of Nazareth, and you got the one with the what's the guy that was in the in Rome. In Rome, man. I always forget his name. The warrior. He was on some beef thing. I can't remember his name, but yeah, that one there. Get me? But it don't really talk. I think they got Jesus in it as part of it, where he's in the cells with him at some point. Get me? But yeah, does it begin with a B? I swear it begins with a B. I can't remember his name. Someone told me the name begins with a B. Flipping hell. But anyway, I get it. But yeah, all them flim there, you get me? They used to put on, and they're still putting on Gee-Man, fucking Jesus story and all that. Get me? They even modernize the thing. You get me? Like make it a little bit more like Ross Clark, flipping Hercules and all them thing there. Get me? Yeah. Or make the bush on some new level. You get what I'm saying? You come with the same dead film with some dead bush. You get me? Modernize the film, man. Get me? I want to see the donkey talk for real. You get me? Just cast Eddie Murphy for the donkey role. It's nothing. Get me? You done a good donkey. So you got your donkey already. Get me? You get to do the guy that cut down the snake in Jungle Book. You get him to do the serpent in the garden. Get me? It's all good. It's all good. Get me? You got plenty of dragons from all them movies there. It's all good, man. It's all good. You could just reenact that shit properly. Get me? Stop being dickheads about it. Get me? Oh, do you know what? I'm not gonna lie. There's one that I do love to watch, though. Not gonna lie. Yeah. And only real ones will know about this one. Yeah, Samson and Delilah. Get me? That's one I don't mind watching. Yeah, because Samson remind me of Hercules. You get me? Yeah. I don't mind a bit of Samson and Delilah. Get me? Barabbas, that's the dude's name. Barabbas, yeah, that's the next flipping thing they put on these times there. I'm sure it's Barabbas. Yeah. I swear he was in Rome, them time in the Roman jails. I swear that's the one. But yeah. I know, yeah, it just came back to me. One of them mad ones. But yeah, Samson and Delilah. If you know about them old school films, you know that Samson and Delilah is the baddest one. Get me? No, I can't chat to that. You get me, man? Box up, man, with the ox jawbone. You get me? Are you mad? Mash out the Philistines. You get me? The man I can chat to, man. Man. Get me? That should be under fiction. Man. Fiction. But yeah. Anyway, people, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to hit the sack. Get me? Up early in the morning and all that. Get me? Oh, yeah, no doubt. Tomorrow or during the week, catch you up on G Block. Get me? Yeah. That's a mad one. Get me? Big up all that's in the chat. Stu, get me? Betty, big up yourself for joining the paddle. Big up yourself for the conversation as well. You get me? Joy, big up yourself as well. Gurdeep, come on. Get me? Gurdeep's waved. Get me? Yeah, Street, big up yourself. Hassan as well, yeah. My G, big up yourself. And Keo, my respect as well for jumping on as well, G. Get me? Good convo, man. Get me? Obviously, the one that we're talking about today, emotional subject, you get me? People that love their place, get me, and where they're from. Get me? I'm proud of that. So, it's what it is, you see me? But yeah, man, big up yourself, people, man. Don't know. Next week, yeah, I'm gonna probably update the thing a little bit early this week. Yeah, cause there's some debates going on that man I feel keep their eyes on. So yeah, I'll be updating you lot with that stuff. You get me? When the debates come out, you get me? But yeah, man, big up yourself, people. Yeah, enjoy the rest of your Sunday or hour and 37 minutes of it. You get me? Yeah, peace. Done know.